Welcome to Anana's creation. Settle in as we weave a story of secrets, power, and the high price of eternity. In the protected heartland of the country, hidden from the maps and satellites of the modern world, lies a place known only to a select few. They call it the Sanctuary. It is a valley of impossible beauty, shielded by towering mountains and cloaked in a subtle shimmer that deflects unwanted eyes. This is the home of the Founders, a group of individuals who have shaped the course of history from the shadows, possessing strength, wisdom, and a vitality that defies the passage of time. They are not gods, not in the way the ancient stories tell. They are simply enduring. But this endurance is not inherent. It is maintained. It is a secret held close, a fragile miracle nestled deep within the sanctuary. Alan is the leader of the Founders. He carries the weight of centuries on his broad shoulders, his mind a vast library of strategies and forgotten histories. He is the architect of their survival, the one who sees the long game. But lately, Alan has felt the chill of time in a way he hasn't in decades. He feels the pull of true, irreversible age. His joints ache not just from old battles, but from simple wear. His keen insights, usually as sharp as a razor, now sometimes feel fogged, slow to arrive. He knows, better than anyone, that the time is near. By his side, often is Mason. Mason is the shield of the sanctuary, a man built of pure, booming energy and unbreakable loyalty. Where Alan is the mind, Mason is the muscle, the fierce protector whose laughter is as loud as his anger is terrifying. Mason doesn't bother with the long view. He lives in the powerful, vibrant present. He protects the walls, patrols the borders, and ensures that the sanctuary remains untouched. But even Mason, the powerhouse, has noticed his swings are a little slower, his breath shorter after a chase. He dismisses it with a grunt, but the worry is there, a small crack in his iron facade. And then there is Lucas. Lucas is not like the others. He is the outsider who lives inside, the shadow that walks alongside them. He is clever, sharp-tongued, and his motives are a tangled web that even Alan cannot fully unravel. Lucas is the master of finding the cracks, the loopholes, the hidden paths. He is chaos and charm, a necessary problem. He observes Alan's weariness and Mason's slowing reactions with a keen, unsettling interest. He, too, feels the drain, but unlike the others, he is always looking for an advantage, a new angle. The sanctuary, for all its beauty, has grown quiet lately. The energy that usually thrummed through the valley has dampened. The Founders feel it. The air is thinner. The great feast halls are less rowdy. The reason is simple, and it is terrifying. They are running out of time. They are all growing old, their extraordinary lives finally, inevitably, winding down. All, that is, except for one. Her name is Hazel. She is not a warrior like Mason, nor a strategist like Alan. She is the heart of the sanctuary. Hazel is the cultivator, the gentle guardian of a place that is more important than any border wall or council meeting. Deep in a secluded, sun-drenched grove, she tends her orchard. This is no ordinary orchard. The trees are ancient, their bark glowing with a soft, pearlescent light, and the fruit they bear is the secret to the Founders' longevity. They are the Golden Apples. These are not the apples of myth that grant immortality in a single bite. The magic here is more subtle, more demanding. These apples do not stop time. They reverse it, but only for a while. They restore vigor, sharpen the mind, heal the wounds of time, and push back the anchor-applying shadow of age. But the effect is temporary. The apples must be eaten regularly. They are the resource upon which this entire society is built, and only Hazel can cultivate them. Only she knows the songs the trees respond to, the precise moment to harvest. Only her touch can coax the golden fruit from the boughs. She lives with her kind, quiet husband, Brian, a poet and musician whose songs often accompany her work in the grove, their harmonies seeming to enrich the very soil. This week, the great chest where the apples are stored is nearly empty. The last harvest was sparse, the winter was long, and the Founders are stretched thin. The air in the sanctuary is thick with unspoken anxiety. Alan stands on his balcony, overlooking the valley, the first true wrinkles of age etching deep lines around his eyes. He needs the apple. Mason needs the apple. Even Lucas, for all his scheming, needs the apple. Tomorrow, Hazel will go to the grove for the new harvest. It is a ritual of renewal, a celebration of life restored. Alan watches the sun set, the golden light reminding him of the fruit they so desperately need. He allows himself a small, weary sigh. The sanctuary is secure. Hazel is protected. Mason's guards are the best in the world. Tomorrow, their strength will be renewed, and the long game will continue. But Alan, the strategist, has forgotten one crucial variable. He has accounted for every external threat, every possibility, except for the enemy within. He has forgotten the ambition of a trickster and the greed of the outside world that has, against all odds, just learned the secret of the sanctuary. Deep in the shadows of the valley, Lucas watches Alan on the balcony. And for the first time in a long time, he is not just observing. He is planning. He knows something the others do not. He knows they're being watched by someone else. And in this new, dangerous variable, Lucas sees not a threat, but an opportunity. The long game, he thinks with a sharp, cold smile, is about to change. Far from the green, shielded valley of the sanctuary, in a city that scraped the sky with towers of glass and steel, a man was dying. His name was Chase. To the world, Chase was a titan, a name whispered with a mixture of awe and fear. He was a builder of empires, a man who moved markets with a single word and crushed competitors without a second thought. His wealth could buy nations, his influence could redirect the course of politics. But all his power, all his billions, were useless against the slow, relentless decay of his own body. He sat in a sterile penthouse apartment, more medical ward than home, surrounded by machines that hummed and beeped, forcing air into his lungs and filtering his blood. His skin was like dry parchment stretched over a fragile skeleton. Only his eyes remained sharp, burning with a cold, desperate fire. He was a modern-day giant, brought low by the one thing he could not buy or conquer, time. For years, his vast network of researchers had scoured the globe for miracle cures, lost remedies, and rumored fountains of youth. They brought him myths, dead ends, and expensive failures. Until 6 months ago, when a new, shadowy source had made contact. A source that spoke with impossible knowledge. A source that called himself Lucas. Tonight, Chase was on a secure, encrypted call. Lucas's face, sharp and alive with a restless energy, looked out of place on the massive screen. He was somewhere dark, a place of stone and shadows within the sanctuary. "The old man is getting nervous," Lucas said, his voice a low murmur. Alan feels the end coming. They're all on edge. The harvest is tomorrow at dawn. It's the perfect time. They are focused inward, worried about their supply. They are not expecting a threat from the outside. Chase's voice was a dry, synthesized rasp, aided by a throat microphone. And the woman? Hazel. She will be in the grove, as always, Lucas confirmed. Her husband, Brian, will be with her. He's a musician. Useless. Mason's security detail will be posted at the grove's perimeter, but they're expecting, at worst, a wild animal, not you. "My team is in position just beyond the deflection perimeter," Chase rasped. "You are certain the coordinates you provided are accurate? That they will bypass Alan's defenses?" Lucas gave a thin, confident smile. Alan's defenses are designed to keep the world out. He never imagined someone inside would be holding the door open. "I have created a blind spot, a digital gap in their surveillance. It will last for exactly 20 minutes. When you see the signal, you move. But you must be fast. Mason is a brute, but he is quick." "I am not interested in Mason," Chase said, his grip tightening on the arm of his chair. "I am not interested in Alan or his council. I want the source. I don't want the apples, Lucas. I want the orchard. I want the woman who tends it." Lucas's smile faltered for just a fraction of a second. This was more than he had bargained for. He had planned to leverage the threat, to create a crisis that only he could solve, positioning himself to take control of the apple distribution. He wanted to be the gatekeeper. Outright kidnapping was messy, dangerous. It would bring the full, unified wrath of the founders down on them. But he was in too deep now. Chase's desperation was a tangible force, a tidal wave of resources and ruthlessness that Lucas could ride, or be crushed by. "Get her," Lucas said, his composure returning. "Get her, and the founders will crumble. They will be just like you, Mr. Chase. Old, and afraid, and desperate. And they will come to me for a solution." "Just make sure the door is open, boy," Chase wheezed, and the screen went black. Lucas stood alone in the darkness for a long moment, the thrill of his betrayal a cold fire in his chest. He was finally playing the long game, Alan's game, and he would win. Back in the sanctuary, the sun had not yet risen, but a pre-dawn stillness held the valley. Hazel and Brian were already awake, walking hand in hand toward the glowing orchard. Brian carried his acoustic guitar, its case worn from years of use. Hazel carried a simple woven basket. She was the most important person in their world, the key to their very existence, yet she walked with a simple, unguarded humility. "The trees are anxious," Hazel said softly, tilting her head as if listening to a sound only she could hear. "The winter was hard on them. Your songs will calm them," Brian replied, squeezing her hand. "They always do." They passed Mason, who stood at the edge of the grove, his arms crossed over his massive chest. He looked more like a mountain than a man, his face set in a permanent scowl of vigilance. "Morning, Mason," Hazel said with a warm smile. Mason nodded, his gaze sweeping the perimeter. "Hazel, Brian, the patrol is set. We've swept the area. Nothing larger than a rabbit for 10 miles. You are secure." "Thank you, Mason," Brian said. "It's good to know you're watching." "It's what I do," Mason grunted. Hazel and Brian entered the grove, the air growing warmer, glowing with the pearlescent light of the ancient trees. The golden apples hung among the leaves like small, captured suns, pulsing with a gentle energy. Hazel sat on a stone bench, closed her eyes, and began to hum a low, ancient melody. Brian unlatched his guitar and began to play, his music weaving around her voice, a harmony of growth and peace. Miles away, Alan watched from his balcony, waiting for the first sign of the harvest. He felt the familiar gnawing ache in his joints. He needed this. They all did. And across the valley, in a forgotten communications hub, Lucas watched a series of monitors. He saw Hazel in the grove. He saw Mason at the perimeter. He saw Alan on his balcony. And he saw a small, flashing icon on his own screen, indicating Chase's team was in position at the blind spot. With a single, steady finger, Lucas typed a command. Suddenly, alarms blared across the sanctuary, not from the grove, but from the northern wall. Red lights flashed on Mason's tactical display. A massive energy signature. A breach. "Alan, we have a breach. The northern perimeter." Mason roared into his communicator. Alan's blood ran cold. "An attack? Now." "It's real. I'm seeing multiple contacts. Go." Alan commanded. "All hands to the wall. Go. Secure the sanctuary." Mason didn't hesitate. He was a shield, and a shield goes where it is needed. He and his entire security team, the guards posted around the grove, all of them, turned and sprinted toward the northern wall. They were a wave of muscle and power, thundering across the valley to fight a non-existent enemy. In the grove, the alarms were distant, muffled. Hazel and Brian continued their song, lost in the ritual. They were completely, utterly alone. Lucas watched a screen, a slow smile spreading across his face. The blind spot was open. Chase's team was moving in. The trap was set. In the heart of the sanctuary, the air was still and sacred. Hazel's hum and Brian's gentle guitar melody fused, creating a resonance that the ancient trees seemed to answer. The golden apples on the boughs pulsed in time with the music, their inner light brightening, ripening before their very eyes. It was a moment of pure creation, a fragile harmony between humanity and the magic of the earth. The harmony was shattered by the sound of a snapping twig. Brian's fingers stilled on the guitar strings. The music stopped, plunging the grove into a sudden, heavy silence. Hazel's eyes opened, wide with confusion, not fear. No one, not ever, interrupted the harvest. "Mason," Brian called out, his voice uncertain. There was no answer. Instead, 6 figures rose from the shadows of the grove's edge. They were not founders. They were sleek, modern specters, clad head to toe in non-reflective black tactical gear. Their faces were obscured by dark visors. They moved with a silent, fluid efficiency that spoke of countless, brutal operations. They were professionals. Brian was on his feet in an instant, instinctively placing himself between the intruders and his wife. He held his guitar like a club, a poet's desperate, useless shield. "Get back," Brian warned, his voice shaking but firm. "This is a private. This is sacred ground. You are not welcome here." The lead operative didn't even slow down. He simply raised a sidearm. It made a soft sound. A small, feathered dart embedded itself in Brian's shoulder. Brian looked down at it, confused, a small "oh" escaping his lips. His knees buckled. He crashed to the ground, the guitar splintering beneath him, his body convulsing once before lying still. "Brian," Hazel's scream tore through the quiet valley, a sound of pure, unadulterated terror. She scrambled toward her husband, but two other operatives intercepted her. They were fast. One grabbed her arms, pinning them, while the other pressed a cloth over her face. The chemical on it was potent, overwhelming her senses instantly. Hazel, the guardian, the heart of the sanctuary, went limp in their arms. Her woven basket, half filled with the first few harvested apples, tipped over, spilling the golden fruit onto the dirt. The lead operative spoke, his voice filtered through his mask. Target is secure. Ignore the fruit. We have the source. Move out. We have 3 minutes. As quickly as they had appeared, they vanished, carrying the unconscious Hazel, melting back into the shadows and the digital blind spot Lucas had created for them. They left behind a broken man, a splintered guitar, and a grove full of glowing apples that now seemed to pulse with a weak, sickening light. Miles away, at the northern wall, Mason slammed his fist into a stone barricade, the rock cracking under the impact. Nothing, he roared into his communicator, his voice echoing with frustration. There is nothing here, Alan. Just ghost signals. We've been had. It's a diversion. On his high balcony, Alan felt a cold dread that had nothing to do with his aging bones. He heard Mason's report, and at the same moment, he registered the other, more terrifying sound, the silence from the grove. Hazel's scream had been too brief, too distant, but the cessation of the harvest music was as loud as any alarm. The grove, Alan whispered, his voice hoarse. Then he shouted into his comms, a command that cracked with pure panic. Mason, the grove. Get back to the grove. All of you. Now. Mason didn't need to be told twice. He was already in motion, a force of nature fueled by a terrible, dawning realization. He sprinted across the valley, his long, powerful strides devouring the ground. He had never run so fast, not even in the battles of old. He was the shield, and he had left his post. He had failed. He arrived at the grove in a spray of dirt, his chest heaving. He skidded to a stop, and his blood turned to ice. Alan was already there, kneeling on the ground, his strategist's mind visibly fractured by the scene. Brian was stirring, groaning, clutching his shoulder. The tranquilizer was wearing off, but the grove was empty of its guardian. Hazel was gone. I tried. Brian stammered, tears of pain and failure streaming down his face as he looked at Alan. They came from the trees, black like shadows. They took her. Alan, they took her. Mason let out a sound that was not human. It was a roar of grief and absolute rage. He saw the overturned basket, the scattered apples, the dart on the ground. He picked it up, his massive hand trembling. I'll kill them, he growled. I will hunt them down, I will. You won't have to hunt far. The voice was calm, cutting through Mason's rage like a scalpel. Lucas stepped out from behind one of the ancient trees, his hands in his pockets. He was not in tactical gear. He was dressed in his usual, casual clothes, but he wore a look of cool, collected triumph. Mason's rage focused instantly. Lucas, you did this. I did what was necessary, Lucas said, his eyes on Alan. This dependency, this fragile system you built, it was broken. You were letting us all grow old, Alan, all while you pretended to be in control. Where is she, Lucas? Alan demanded, rising to his feet, his newfound age forgotten, replaced by a cold, dangerous authority. She is safe, Lucas said with a shrug. She is with people who understand her value, my new partners. They are very eager to learn her secrets. Mason lunged. He crossed the 10 feet between them in a single, blurring bound, his hand outstretched to crush Lucas's throat. I wouldn't, Lucas said, not even flinching. He held up a small, silver device, a dead man's switch. Hazel is on a helicopter, miles away. If my heart stops, or if I send a signal, or if I fail to send a signal, she dies. And with her, all of us. Mason froze, his hand trembling an inch from Lucas's neck. The brute, the shield, was rendered utterly powerless. Lucas smiled, a thin, cold smile that held no warmth. That's better. Now, Alan, we can finally have a real conversation. The old way is over. The apples are no longer a right. They are a privilege. And I am the one who grants it. The sanctuary finally has a new leader. The silence in the grove was no longer peaceful. It was a vacuum, suffocating, heavy with betrayal. Mason stood frozen, his hand an inch from Lucas's throat, a statue of pure, impotent rage. His entire body vibrated with the need to destroy the man before him, but the silver dead man switch, held casually in Lucas's hand, was a perfect, unbreachable shield. Alan stepped forward, placing a hand on Mason's trembling arm. It was not a gesture of comfort, but a command. "Stand down, Mason." Mason growled, his eyes locked on Lucas. "He's holding all the cards," Alan finished, his voice shockingly calm. He was a strategist. Rage was a luxury he could not afford. The board had been violently overturned, and he was already calculating the new moves. He wins.
For now.
"What are your terms, Lucas?" Lucas let out a slow, satisfied breath, his smug smile returning. He lowered the device, though he didn't put it away. "Terms? Alan, you still think you're in a negotiation. This is a simple transfer of power. There are no terms. There are only my instructions." He gestured to the fallen apples on the ground, their golden light already looking dimmer, as if sensing the poison in the air. "Clean these up. This mess, it's a security risk." "Brian," he said, nodding at the man still on his knees, clutching his shoulder. "It seems you're a widower. My condolences. Get him to the medics. But tell them it was an accident. A fall during the disturbance." "You monster," Brian whispered, his voice cracking with grief. "I'm a pragmatist." Lucas snapped, his charm vanishing, replaced by cold steel. "Which is more than I can say for Alan. He let you all believe this magic was a gift. It's not. It's a resource. And I just cornered the market." He turned his full attention to Alan. "Here is what happens now. You and Mason will continue your duties. You will maintain the illusion of order. The other founders? You will tell them the harvest was complicated, that a pest, a blight, has infected the grove, and that the supply will be severely limited. I alone will be managing the rationing and distribution. No one gets an apple without my direct approval. They'll age," Alan stated, the cold fact hanging in the air. "They will see it in each other. They will panic. Then you will manage that panic." Lucas shot back. "This is your new job, Alan. You are no longer the leader. You are the manager of discontent. And you, Mason," he said, looking at the fuming warrior. "You are no longer the shield of the sanctuary. You are my bodyguard. You will protect me because if I die, Hazel dies. And if Hazel dies, well, look at your hand, Alan." Alan, instinctively, looked down at the back of his hand. Was that a new liver spot? Was the skin thinner? Or was it just his imagination, his newfound fear? "The clock is ticking for all of us," Lucas said softly, enjoying their discomfort. "But it ticks for me, too. My partners, Mr. Chase, they want Hazel's secret. They want to know how to make the apples, not just eat them. And I am the only one who can negotiate her survival. So, you see, we are all in this together. My life is now the most valuable thing in the sanctuary. Protect it." Lucas turned and walked calmly out of the grove, leaving Alan and Mason in the ruins. Mason finally moved. He didn't rage. He didn't shout. He simply, methodically, punched the trunk of the nearest glowing tree. The sound was a dull, sickening thud. The tree's light flickered, and Mason leaned his forehead against the bark, his shoulders shaking. "What do we do, Alan?" Alan did not look at him. He was looking at the fallen apples, the splintered guitar, the dart. He was cataloging, analyzing, processing. "We do exactly what he says," Alan said, his voice flat, devoid of all emotion. "We become the most obedient, most loyal followers he has. We play our parts. You will be his shadow. I will be his advisor. We will let him believe he has won. Alan, he'll let us wither and die. He's working with outsiders." "Yes," Alan said, finally turning to Mason. His eyes were not defeated. They were cold, hard, and terrifyingly patient. "He has made a fatal error. He believes the outside world is his strength. He thinks technology and wealth are the new power. But he has forgotten what we are. He has forgotten what this place is. And he has given me an enemy I can finally see." Alan bent down and picked up one of the fallen golden apples. He held it in his palm. "We wait. We obey. And we find a way to break his one, single, fragile connection to Hazel. That little silver switch." Hazel woke with a gasp. The air was wrong. It was cold, sterile, and tasted of ozone and chemicals. The scent of damp earth and sweet blossoms from the grove was gone.
She was not on a stone bench.
She was on a cold, metal table in a room that glowed with the blue light of electronic screens. Her wrists and ankles were secured by soft but unyielding restraints. She's awake. The voice was a mechanical rasp. Hazel's head snapped to the side. In the corner of the room sat a figure that looked like a withered husk, a man who was more machine than human. Chase. He was bathed in the glow of a dozen monitors displaying her own vital signs. Where am I? She stammered, her throat dry. Brian? Is Brian. Your husband is irrelevant, Chase rasped, a wheelchair whirring as he moved closer. He is back with the old men, wondering where his magic has gone. Magic. Hazel's heart pounded with a new kind of fear. This was not a prison of stone, but one of technology. Your gift, Chase said, his skeletal fingers gesturing to a screen. Your body temperature is 3 degrees above average. Your cell regeneration is remarkable. You are the source. The apples are just the byproduct. I don't know what you're talking about, Hazel said, pulling at the restraints. Please let me go. Go. Chase let out a dry, rattling laugh. Child, look at me. I am a monument to the failures of modern medicine. I have bought the world, and it has given me nothing but more expensive ways to die. And then, Lucas found you, a woman who doesn't just eat the fruit of life. She is the fruit. He leaned in, his eyes burning with a desperate, terrifying intensity. I am not a brute. I am a scientist. I am a businessman. I do not want to hurt you, Hazel. I want to invest in you. I want you to teach me. Show me how you do it. Show me how to make the trees obey. Do this, and I will give you anything. Refuse, and I will simply take you apart, cell by cell, until I find the answer myself. Lucas sold you to me, but I'm offering you a partnership. You are the source. Show me how it works. The sanctuary had become a place of whispers. The vibrant energy that once pulsed through the valley was replaced by a cold, anxious tension. Lucas, once a shadow, now sat in Alan's own high-backed chair in the council chambers, the silver dead man's switch placed casually on the table in front of him, a royal scepter of his new, fragile reign. Mason stood behind him, as promised. He was a thundercloud of compressed fury, his role reduced to that of a decorative, lethal statue. His presence was a constant, simmering threat, but it was a threat leashed by Lucas's device. This morning, the first test of the new regime had arrived. An older founder, a woman named Eleanor, who had once been the chief architect of the sanctuary, stood before Lucas, her hands visibly trembling. Her skin was pale, and the fine lines around her eyes seemed to have deepened overnight. Lucas, please, she said, her voice thin. Just one. I can't focus. The plans for the aqueduct, they're fuzzy. I feel so weak. The blight, is it true? Lucas leaned back in the chair, steepling his fingers. He looked at Alan, who stood by the wall like a dismissed advisor. What do you think, Alan? Eleanor looks peaky. But the blight in the grove, you see, it means our supply is critically low. I'm not sure we can spare it. This was the performance. This was the lie they all had to live. Alan stepped forward, his face a mask of weary pragmatism. Lucas is right, Eleanor. We must all conserve our strength. The harvest was a failure. We must be patient until a solution is found. Perhaps try meditating. Eleanor looked at Alan, her eyes wide with a sense of betrayal. Alan, her leader for centuries, was now just a mouthpiece for this usurper. She turned back to Lucas, desperation making her bold. You can't just take them. I can, Lucas said, his voice quiet, all traces of his former charm gone. And I have. Mason, please show Eleanor out. She is disturbing the peace. Mason's jaw muscle clenched, but he did not move. Mason, now, Lucas commanded, his fingers tapping the silver switch. With a low growl, Mason took a step. Eleanor, go. His voice was gravel. Eleanor flinched as if struck. She looked from the monstrously still Mason to the cold-eyed Lucas, and finally, to the defeated Alan. The leadership was broken. She turned, her shoulders slumped, and left the chamber, taking with her the last spark of the sanctuary's open defiance. When she was gone, Lucas smiled. See? Order. Control. That's all it takes, Alan. You were too soft. You made them family. They're just assets. You are a brilliant strategist, Lucas, Alan said, his voice monotone, his eyes empty. We will all follow your lead. What is your next instruction? My next instruction, Lucas said, picking up the switch, is to wait. I'm waiting for a call from my partner. And you, Mason, go fetch me some coffee. You're my bodyguard, not my butler, but you might as well be useful. Mason's eyes went black. For a second, Alan thought he would break, that he would lunge and end it all, damning Hazel and all of them. But after a long, agonizing moment, Mason turned. How do you take it? He grated out. Black. Lucas smiled. Like my new management style. Meanwhile, in the cold, blue-lit lab, Hazel's resilience was being tested in a different way. This is pointless, she said, her voice shaking but firm. She was strapped to a table, a large, humming machine moving in an arc over her body, scanning her. I've told you. I don't know how. It's not a formula. It's a feeling. A song. Sing, then. Chase rasped from his chair in the corner, his voice amplified by a speaker. He was surrounded by his medical team, and next to him stood a new figure. A woman in a stark white lab coat, her hair pulled back in a severe bun. This was Dr. Anya Sharma, Chase's lead biologist, a woman who saw the human body as a complex, solvable equation. I can't, Hazel whispered, tears welling. Not here. Not like this. It's not for this. The feeling, Dr. Sharma said, her voice clipped and precise, is a measurable neurological event. We see it on the scans. When you discuss the Grove, your brain's limbic system and anterior cingulate cortex light up in ways we have never observed. It's a unique feedback loop. But what triggers it? It's love, Hazel said, the word sounding small and fragile in the sterile room. It's love for my home, for Brian, for the trees themselves. You can't scan for that. Love, Chase scoffed. A chemical reaction. We can synthesize that. No, child. You are holding back. You are a biological marvel, and you are hoarding the key. She's not just a marvel, Dr. Sharma interrupted, looking at a screen. Mr. Chase, look at this. Her cellular mitosis. It's not just rapid, it's perfect. There's no telomere degradation. At all. She is, for all intents and purposes, biologically immortal. The apples aren't the source. She is. The apples are just excretions. They are a byproduct of her presence. A hungry, terrifying light entered Chase's dying eyes. He wheeled himself closer, his breathing a harsh rattle. She is the apple. This changes the hypothesis, Dr. Sharma said. We don't need her to teach us. We just need to replicate her. Synthesize the unique protein chains her body produces. How? Chase demanded. Dr. Sharma picked up a long, sterile syringe. We'll need more samples. Bone marrow, spinal fluid. It will be unpleasant, but for the sake of science and your survival, I'm sure she will understand. Hazel's eyes widened in terror. This was the taking her apart he had promised. No, Hazel pleaded, pulling at her restraints. Please no. I'll try. I'll try to sing. Please. Chase stared at her, his mind calculating. The pain of an invasive procedure might shock her system, damage the very thing he sought. Wait, doctor. Let the girl sing. Give her a chance to perform. If she fails, you may proceed. The lab was silent. Dr. Sharma had placed a single, small, potted plant on a steel table in front of Hazel, who was now unbound and sitting on a stool. The plant was unremarkable, a common office ficus. Chase watched from his corner, his breathing a rhythmic, mechanical hiss. You said it was a song, Chase rasped. You said it was a feeling. Here is life. Make it better. Make it glow. Make it do what your trees do. Show us. Hazel looked at the small, pathetic plant in its sterile environment. It was a mockery of the ancient, vibrant grove. But then she looked past it, at the gleaming, terrifying tray Dr. Sharma was preparing. On it lay a long, wicked-looking needle designed for bone marrow extraction. Fear was a powerful motivator. Hazel closed her eyes. She tried to block out the blue light of the monitors, the smell of antiseptic, the hum of the air filtration. She tried to go back. She tried to find the place in her mind where the music lived. She thought of Brian. She pictured his face, his kind eyes, the feel of his hand in hers. She pictured the sun rising over the sanctuary, the morning light hitting the glowing bark of the grove. She began to hum. It was the same low, ancient melody she had sung 1,000 times. Her voice, thin and trembling in the dead air of the lab, slowly gained a fragile strength. She opened her mouth and began to sing the words, a language older than any spoken tongue, a song of roots and water, of sun and soil. She sang for a full minute. The sound was beautiful, a desperate, lonely plea for life in a room dedicated to cold analysis. When she finished, she opened her eyes, her chest heaving. Nothing. The plant was just a plant. The air was just air. Dr. Sharma, who had been watching a monitor, shook her head. No observable change. No photonic emission from the plant. No anomalous energy readings in the room. Her brain patterns are consistent with deep emotional recall, but there is no magic, Mr. Chase. The environment is sterile. The connection she speaks of, it's not present. It's not working, Hazel whispered, her last hope crumbling. I can't feel it. The grove, it's not here. Chase was silent for a long, terrible moment. His shallow, machinated breaths were the only sound. I see, he finally wheezed. You are not a creator. You are a conduit, a battery. And this place, this lab, it has no connection to your power source. He looked at Dr. Sharma. This changes things. We don't need her to sing for us. We need to find out what she is, why her cells don't die. My thoughts exactly, Dr. Sharma said, her voice devoid of emotion. She picked up the long, terrifying needle. Her system is currently under extreme stress. The cortisol might corrupt the sample, but we have no other choice. We must begin the extractions. No, Hazel screamed, scrambling backward off the stool, but two orderlies, who had been waiting by the door, grabbed her. Please, no. I can try again. Please. We've tried it your way, child, Chase rasped, his eyes cold and devoid of pity. Now, we will try it ours. Hazel's scream echoed off the sterile walls as the orderlies forced her onto the metal table and Dr. Sharma approached, the needle gleaming in the blue light. Back in the sanctuary, 2 days had passed. The change was palpable. It was no longer a place of whispers. It was a place of sickness. The founders were aging. It was not a slow, gentle decline. It was a rapid, horrifying collapse. Without the constant, renewing energy of Hazel and the apples, the centuries were catching up with them all at once. Eleanor, the architect, was now bedridden, her hands so twisted by sudden, aggressive arthritis that she could no longer hold a pen. Other members, once vital and strong, were now frail, their skin papery, their eyes clouded with the first signs of cataracts. A dry, hacking cough echoed through the once great halls. Alan, too, felt it. He woke up this morning to find his right hand shaking, a tremor he could not control. Mason, the iron shield, now had a deep, aching pain in his back and knees that no amount of stretching could ease. They were all falling apart. Lucas, however, looked perfectly fine. He had obviously kept the small, remaining cache of apples, the ones Hazel had already picked for himself. He sat in the council chamber, sipping his coffee, watching the old world die. It's a catastrophe, Alan said, his voice strained. He was playing his part as the concerned advisor, but the fear in his voice was real. Lucas, they're dying. You're not rationing, you're culling them. They'll be too weak to fight, but they'll also be too weak to work. A temporary setback, Lucas said, waving a dismissive hand. Once my partners synthesize the source, we will have more than enough. A new, purer product. We'll build a new, stronger sanctuary. This is just pruning the old branches. And what if your partners fail? Mason growled from his post, the words torn from him. What if they can't synthesize a soul? Then we have a problem, Lucas said, his eyes narrowing. But for now, you have a problem. You look tired, Mason. Getting old. Before Mason could reply, the main doors of the chamber burst open. It was a younger founder, a technician named Ben, who managed the sanctuary's hidden energy systems. He was pale and sweating, and he was holding a tablet that was flashing red. Sir, he panted, looking at Alan, then forcing himself to look at Lucas. Leader Lucas, we have a problem. A real one. Calm yourself, Lucas said, annoyed by the interruption. I can't. It's the deflection perimeter. The shimmer, the field that hides us from the world. It's failing. Alan and Mason both went rigid. Ben frantically tapped his screen. The energy readings are in a freefall. It's not a blight. It's a system crash. At first, we thought it was just the apples, but this... Alan, the whole sanctuary, the power, the defenses, the growth, it's all tied to the same source. It's not just the apples. It's her. Ben looked up, his eyes wide with a terrifying realization. The system, it's not just powered by the Grove. It's powered by Hazel. Her presence. Her life. And she's gone. A new, heavy silence filled the room. Alan and Mason stared at Lucas. The smug, confident smile was gone from Lucas's face. He looked at the technician, then at his silver switch, then back at the technician. He had stolen the apples, yes. But in doing so, he had just pulled the foundation stone out from the entire valley. The walls, the very thing that protected them all, were now, quite literally, coming down. The council chamber, which had moments before been a stage for Lucas's petty tyranny, was now a pressure cooker. Ben's words hung in the air, heavy and suffocating. The sanctuary was not just vulnerable, it was exposed. What do you mean, failing? Lucas demanded, his voice a sharp, nervous crack. He stood up, knocking over his coffee cup. The dark liquid spread across the ancient table like a stain of bad newfound omen. It's a machine, Ben. A perimeter.
Fix it.
Reboot it. Do your job. It's not a machine. Ben shot back, his terror making him reckless. That's what I've been trying to tell Alan for years. I thought the power came from the Grove. But the Grove is just an antenna. The source, the broadcaster, is Hazel. Her biometrics are hard-coded into the very energy matrix of this valley. And right now, that matrix it's screaming. Ben held up his tablet, showing a waveform that was no longer a smooth, steady hum. It was a jagged, erratic spike, a vital sign in full cardiac arrest. The shimmer isn't just a shield, it's a projection of her life force. And her life force is in agony. It's collapsing. The shimmer, it's tearing. Mason finally spoke, his voice a low, terrifying rumble. He didn't look at Lucas. He looked at Alan. How long? At this rate of decay? Ben swiped the screen, his face pale. Hours. Maybe 12. The morning sun will rise and we will be on Google Maps. The reality of that statement hit the room. They wouldn't just be old, they would be found. Their secret, their home, their entire existence would be laid bare for the modern world to see, to covet, and to destroy. Lucas stumbled back, his hand going to the silver switch on the table, clutching it like a useless talisman. His one piece of leverage, the threat of Hazel's death, was now a mutual suicide pact. He couldn't use it. He had no more moves. And in that moment of absolute panic, Alan stepped forward. His voice was not loud, but it cut through the fear like a surgeon's blade. He was no longer the dismissed advisor. He was the leader. Lucas, Alan said, his tone deceptively calm, as if explaining a simple problem to a child. You have made a catastrophic miscalculation. You thought you were stealing a treasure, but you have, in fact, just pulled the pin on a grenade that will vaporize us all. I can fix this, Lucas stammered, his eyes darting between Alan and Mason. I'll call Chase. I'll tell him. He needs to send her back. You think he'll just give her back? Mason snarled. He has her. He's a billionaire. He won. He'll take his chances with the world finding this place. He's got armies. No, Alan said, his mind working with chilling speed. No, he won't. Chase is a man of secrets, a man of control. He doesn't want a partnership with the world. He wants a monopoly. The last thing he wants is the entire world's military showing up to fight him for the prize. He's just as exposed as we are. Lucas, your one and only remaining use in this life is to make that call. You will tell Chase exactly what Ben just said. You will make him understand that by torturing Hazel, he is burning his own investment to the ground. Now. Do it. In the lab, Hazel was cold. The pain. It had been a white-hot fire when Dr. Sharma had driven the needle into her hip, then into her spine. But now it was a dull, freezing ache. She was lying on the table, covered in a thin sheet, her body trembling in uncontrollable shivers. She felt hollow. The connection, the song, that had been a constant, warm presence in her mind for her entire life. It was gone. It was just static, just pain. Dr. Sharma, on the other hand, was ecstatic. She held a rack of vials filled with dark red bone marrow and crystal clear spinal fluid. The samples are extraordinary, she said, her voice hushed with scientific reverence as she placed one under a microscope. Mr. Chase, the cellular integrity is perfect. No degradation, no atypical markers. It's a blank slate of perfect human biology. Chase wheeled himself closer, his eyes drinking in the vials. This was it. This was his cure. Begin the synthesis, he rasped. I want the first injection ready by morning. That's not possible, Dr. Sharma said. We need to culture this. Map the protein chains. It will take months, perhaps. Today, Chase roared, a wheezing, desperate sound. I am dying, doctor. I do not have months. Start now. As he was speaking, his secure comms line buzz said. He glared at the screen, annoyed at the interruption. What? He snapped, answering the call. Lucas's panicked face appeared. Chase, we have a problem. A complication. I am busy, Chase snarled. I have the source. Our deal is concluded. Your internal issues are your own. It's not an internal issue, Lucas shouted, his voice tinny and desperate. The shield, the thing that hides this place. It's tied to her. You've got to stop. Whatever you're doing to her, you're killing the defenses. Chase muted the call, his eyes narrowing. He looked at Dr. Sharma. Is that possible? Could her distress be broadcast? Dr. Sharma looked from her monitor to the shivering, half-conscious woman on the table. Her bioenergy output is off the charts. It's erratic, uncontained. If the valley is, as he claims, tuned to her, then yes. What we are doing to her, we are doing to the valley. We are, in effect, broadcasting a massive, unfiltered distress signal. Chase unmuted the call. Explain. The shimmer is tearing, Lucas yelled. In a few hours, every satellite, every government, every army in the world will see us. They'll see you. Your little secret lab, your cure. It's over, Chase, unless you stop. Unless you bring her back. Chase's skeletal hand tightened on his chair. He was a man cornered. He had the cure in his hand, but the lab was about to be exposed. He looked at Hazel, then at the vials, then at the screen. He had just stolen the golden goose, and in his haste, he was strangling it. Quiet, Chase commanded Lucas. He looked at Dr. Sharma. Stabilize her. No more extractions. Stop the pain. Keep her alive and keep her calm. Our experiment just became exponentially more complicated. The sterile, blue-lit lab had become a command center for a war on two fronts, one against Chase's own mortality, and the other against the ticking clock of the sanctuary's exposure. Dr. Sharma, the consummate professional, had already administered a powerful sedative and a counteragent to the pain of the extractions. Hazel's shivering had subsided, her pained, shallow breaths deepening into the regular rhythm of an unconscious, dreamless sleep. Her vital signs, displayed on the large monitor, began to smooth out, the erratic spikes of agony flattening into something resembling stability. Her immediate physical distress is neutralized, Mr. Chase, Dr. Sharma reported, stripping off her stained gloves. We stopped the trauma, but she is not calm. She's heavily sedated. We cannot interact with her in this state. A sleeping battery is still a battery. Chase raspy, his attention fixed on the still-open comms line, where Lucas's terrified face was frozen. He unmuted the call. Well, boy, is it working? In the sanctuary council chamber, Ben, the technician, frantically checked his tablet. The jagged, screaming waveform of the shimmer's energy field was no longer in freefall. It had stopped collapsing, but it wasn't recovering. It stabilized, Ben announced, a small bit of hope in his voice. The decay has stopped. She's not in pain anymore. See, Lucas said, a desperate, false confidence returning to his voice. I handled it. Quiet, Lucas. Alan's voice was a whip crack, cutting him off. Alan stepped into the frame of the comm screen, pushing Lucas aside. His face, etched with new, deep lines of age, was granite. This is Alan. We are not speaking to the errand boy any longer. We are speaking to you, Mr. Chase. Chase's eyes narrowed. This was the true leader, the old man. I am listening. You have stabilized her, Alan said, his voice cold and precise. You have stopped the pain, but you have not solved the problem. The shield is no longer collapsing, but it is not restoring. It's a flat line. It's idling. It is still weakening, just more slowly. You have bought us, perhaps, 24 hours. After that, we are still exposed. You are still exposed. Ben nodded frantically in the background. He's right. The signal is dormant. It's not broadcasting comm. It's just broadcasting nothing. The system needs her active, conscious participation. It needs her presence. What do you propose, Alan? Chase rasped, already knowing the answer. Return her, Alan said simply. Bring her home. It is your only move. Only her presence here, in the grove, can restore the shimmer and reshroud this valley. Only then will your investment be secure. A long, wheezing silence stretched between the two locations. Chase was trapped. If he returned her, he lost his cure, his only leverage. If he didn't, the entire world would discover his prize and take it from him. Then a slow, rattling semblance of a laugh came from Chase. Return her?
No, Alan.
You have miscalculated. I do not return assets. I relocate them. Alan's blood ran cold. What did you say? You said the system needs her presence. It needs her near the grove. Was it? Your antenna. You need her. But I need her alive. I need her cooperative. And I need Dr. Sharma's research to continue. We have a mutual problem, Alan. And I am proposing a mutual solution. Chase leaned into his camera, the burning, desperate fire in his eyes visible even over the video feed. I am not returning your asset. I am bringing my entire team to your sanctuary. I am bringing my lab, my doctors, and my security. I will bring Hazel to your grove, and I will have my scientist, Dr. Sharma, calm her. She will restore your shield. And in exchange, you will give us full access. We will work together. It was a Trojan horse. It was a declaration of invasion, disguised as a rescue. Alan looked at Mason, whose face was a mask of disbelief and pure, murderous rage. He was ready to refuse, to die fighting. But Alan saw the move behind the move. You're dying, Mr. Chase, Alan stated. You can't be moved. You won't risk the journey. I do not need to come, Chase rasped. My team, led by Dr. Sharma, will be my eyes and ears. They will bring the cure to me, but they will bring Hazel to you. It is the only way, Alan. Accept or be exposed. You have 1 hour to prepare a landing zone. The screen went black. Alan turned from the comm station. The room was deathly quiet. Lucas had collapsed into a chair, his face in his hands, a political prisoner in his own failed coup. Mason was vibrating, his hands clenched so tightly his knuckles were white. He's coming here? Ben stammered. The enemy? We're just letting them in. Yes, Alan said. His voice was hollow, but his eyes were hard. He walked over to Mason. He is bringing his sickness to our home. He is bringing his tools, his private army. He is bringing the world we have hidden from, right through our front door. We can't, Mason growled. Alan, we fight. We die. But we don't do this. We do, Alan said, placing his trembling, aged hand on Mason's shoulder. Because he is also bringing her. He is bringing Hazel home. And once she is on our soil, the game changes. Mason, go to the armory. Prepare for visitors. You are no longer Lucas's bodyguard. You are the sanctuary's shield once more. And you will watch every single move they make. The sanctuary had never known the sound. For centuries, the loudest noises had been the rumble of a summer thunderstorm, the roar of Mason's battle cry, or the swell of music from the great halls. What came now was a violation. It was a rhythmic, mechanical thump-thump-thump that tore the sky apart, a predatory heartbeat echoing off the shielding mountains. In the main courtyard, what was left of the Founders stood assembled. It was a pathetic sight. A week ago, they were vital, powerful beings. Now they were a collection of the aging and the infirm, huddled in blankets against a chill that had nothing to do with the weather. They looked like what they were: old, frightened, and defeated. Alan stood at the front, his back straight, though it cost him a visible effort. His tremor was worse. Mason was beside him, armed to the teeth, his face a mask of such contained fury that it was almost calm. And in the back, separate from the others, stood Lucas. He was a ghost, a pariah. No one would look at him. He had brought this doom upon them. The thumping grew to a deafening roar. A sleek, black aircraft, more insect than bird, descended from the sky. It was not a simple helicopter. It was a military-grade VTOL, a high-tech shark that had no place in this ancient, hidden world. It landed in the center of the courtyard, its thrusters scorching the ancient paving stones. A ramp hissed open. The Founders flinched, pulling back. The first to emerge were not doctors. They were soldiers, 4 of them, clad in the same black, faceless tactical gear as the ones who had stolen Hazel. They fanned out, their weapons held in a low, professional ready, securing a perimeter within the courtyard. They ignored the Founders completely, as if they were just part of the scenery. Then she appeared. Dr. Anya Sharma. She was in a black, high-tech jumpsuit, a tablet held in one hand. She looked around, her eyes sharp and analytical, taking in the glowing trees in the distance, the unique architecture, and the pathetic, aging crowd. Her gaze was one of cold, academic curiosity. "This is the location," she said, not to Alan, but into a tiny microphone on her collar. "Dr. Sharma," Alan said, his voice shaky with age but firm with authority. "I am Alan." "I know who you are," she said, cutting him off. Her eyes flicked to him, dismissed him, and then focused on Mason. "He's the security risk." Then her gaze landed on Lucas. "And that's the traitor. Pathetic." She stepped aside. "Bring out the asset." Two more operatives emerged, wheeling a high-tech, sealed gurney. On it, under a clear, pressurized canopy, lay Hazel. She was deathly pale, a complex array of tubes and wires connecting her to the humming machinery of the gurney itself. She was no longer a person. She was cargo. A sound, a choked, agonizing sob, came from the crowd. Brian, Hazel's husband, shoved his way forward. He was almost unrecognizable. His hair had gone thin and white, his face a roadmap of grief and sudden, brutal age. "Hazel," he whispered, stumbling toward the gurney. Before he could take 2 steps, one of the black-clad soldiers moved. He didn't push Brian. He simply put his weapon flat against Brian's chest, stopping him cold. A silent, unmovable wall. "Do not touch the asset," Dr. Sharma said, her voice bored, as if explaining a simple rule to a child. "Her life support is calibrated. My team is all that is keeping her stable. Any interference, any emotional outbursts, and her system could crash. You understand what happens then." She pointed a finger to the sky, now visible through the weakening, tearing shimmer. Poof. "We all go public." Alan put a hand on Brian's shoulder. "Brian."
Wait.
"She is here. She is home. That is all that matters." "This isn't home," Brian wept, but he allowed Mason to gently pull him back into the crowd. Alan turned back to Dr. Sharma. "You are here. She is here. The bargain is kept." "The bargain has just begun, Alan," Dr. Sharma corrected. "This gurney is a temporary solution. The field is still degrading. We are wasting time." She looked past him, toward the center of the valley. "Take me to the grove. We need to plug her back into the system." Mason stepped forward, his body physically blocking her path. "She goes to our medics." "I am the medic," Sharma snapped. "My equipment. My team. We are her life support now." "You," she said, poking a finger toward Mason, "are a relic. Your only job is to do what Alan says. And Alan will do what I say, because I am the only one in this valley who can read her vital signs. Do you understand, old man?" The insult hung in the air. Old man. It was the one thing Mason had never been. Alan saw the tensing of Mason's shoulders. He knew his friend was a heartbeat away from tearing the doctor's head from her shoulders, dooming them all. "Mason," Alan said, his voice a low, pained command. "Stand down. She is right. The shimmer is the priority. We have no other move. You will escort Dr. Sharma and her team, and Hazel, to the grove. Now." It was the hardest command Alan had ever given. It was the most bitter pill Mason had ever had to swallow. With a growl that sounded like grinding stones, Mason turned. He looked at the black-clad soldiers, at the cold, arrogant doctor, and at the high-tech gurney that held the heart of their world. "This way," he snarled. The procession began. A small, invading army of science and steel, marching into the magical, sacred center of the sanctuary. And leading them, forced to guide his own invaders, was the sanctuary's aged, furious, and broken shield. The procession was a funeral march for a world that was not yet dead. Mason led the way, his boots heavy on the soft earth, each step a violation of his own sacred duty. He was guiding the wolves into the heart of his home. Behind him, Dr. Sharma's tactical team moved in a diamond formation, their weapons covering all angles, their movements precise, efficient, and utterly alien. In their center, they wheeled the humming, sealed gurney that held Hazel. Dr. Sharma walked beside the gurney, her eyes constantly scanning her tablet, which was now displaying a real-time topographical map of the sanctuary, overlaid with a weakening, flickering grid that represented the dying shimmer. Alan walked beside her, his aged, trembling hand fisted at his side. He was watching, learning, and enduring the humiliation. In the back, a few of the more mobile founders followed, a ragged tale of the elderly and the sick. Brian was among them, his face a gray mask of grief, his eyes fixed only on the gurney. Lucas was nowhere to be seen. He had been left in the council chamber, a prisoner guarded by his own shame. When they reached the edge of the grove, the tactical team fanned out, creating a hard perimeter. They did not enter. Even these hardened soldiers seemed to pause, to feel the wrongness of the place. The grove was dying. The ancient trees, whose bark once glowed with a soft, pearlescent light, were now a dull, sickly gray. The leaves were brittle, the branches low and heavy. The very air, which had always been warm and filled with the scent of blossoms, was now cold, damp, and smelled of decay. The few golden apples that remained on the boughs had turned to black, rotten mush. Dr. Sharma, however, was unfazed. She saw no magic, no sacredness. She saw a power plant that was offline. "This is it," she stated, not asked. "The energy signature, what's left of it, is centered here. Get her to the middle." Two of her team members pushed the gurney over the sacred threshold, their boots crunching on dead leaves. They wheeled Hazel to the exact center of the grove, beside the great, lifeless stone bench where she and Brian used to sit. "Right," Sharma said, setting down a case of equipment. Then the technician, he said she was the broadcaster, and the grove was the antenna. "It's crude, but the analogy is functional. We just need to re-establish the connection. We need to force a handshake between her system and this environment." She was no longer a doctor. She was an engineer trying to hotwire a car. She pulled out a set of thin, silver discs attached to wires. She handed them to her soldiers. "Place these on the trunks of the 3 largest trees. I want a direct energy reading." The soldiers moved to obey, unholstering devices that looked like high-tech staple guns to affix the sensors to the ancient bark. Mason let out a roar. "Do not touch the trees." He lunged, but in a microsecond, 4 rifles were aimed at his chest. He froze, his hand outstretched, his body trembling with a rage so profound it was almost paralyzing. "Mr. Mason," Dr. Sharma said, not even looking up from her console, "your emotional outbursts are counterproductive. The bark is dead tissue. It's a non-invasive reading. Stand down, or my men will put you down. Your friend Alan can't afford to lose his only guard dog, can he?" Alan put a hand on Mason's arm. "Mason, she must do her work. There is no other way. Let them." Mason's hand slowly, agonizingly, lowered. He backed away, his eyes promising a future of pure violence. Dr. Sharma ignored him. She connected the wires to her console, which was now linked directly to Hazel's gurney.
All right.
Her vitals are stable, though suppressed. The grove's ambient energy is negligible. I'm going to use the gurney's power core to send a low-voltage, patterned pulse through her system. The idea is to ping the grove, to remind it that she's here. "You'll hurt her," Brian cried out, stepping forward. "She is sedated, mister. Whoever you are," Sharma said. "She will feel nothing. This is science, not prayer." She tapped a series of commands on her screen. A low, electronic hum filled the grove, an ugly, invasive sound. The lights on Hazel's gurney flickered. The silver discs on the trees began to glow, not with magic, but with a cold, blue, electronic light. "Pulse initiated," Sharma said, watching her screen. "I'm detecting a response. The trees they're drawing power." It was true. The dull, gray bark began to flicker, but it wasn't the warm, pearlescent glow. It was a cold, blue, stuttering light, mirroring the electronics. The trees were not waking up, they were being electrocuted. Then, a new alarm blared, this one from Dr. Sharma's own console. A high-pitched, frantic beeping. "What is this?" she snapped. "Her vitals. Her heart rate is spiking. No, it's collapsing. She's in VFib." The system wasn't handshaking. It was rejecting. The grove, the very magic of the place, was reacting to the forced, artificial connection as an attack. And it was lashing back, through the connection, at Hazel. "Stop," Alan shouted. "You're killing her." "I'm trying," Sharma yelled, her scientific cool finally breaking. She was frantically typing, trying to shut down the pulse, but the feedback loop was out of control. It's not disconnecting. The grove, it's not letting go. It's drawing all the power from the gurney, and it's taking her with it. The gurney's canopy flashed, and all its lights went dead. The humming stopped. The grove, too, went dark, the blue light vanishing. The only sound was the flatline tone from the gurney's heart monitor. "No," Dr. Sharma whispered, her face ashen. Her science had failed. She had not only failed to fix the shield, she had just killed the source. "No,
No.
no." Brian wept, falling to his knees. Alan stared at the dead gurney, at the lifeless grove, the silence of a world truly, finally, at its end. Then his eyes, blurred with age, focused on something. He looked at the dead gurney. He looked at the dying trees. And then he looked at the one variable Dr. Sharma had dismissed. He turned to the weeping, broken, white-haired man on the ground. "Brian," Alan said, his voice quiet, desperate, but full of a new, terrifying hope. "Get up," she said. It was a song, a harmony. Her science, her force, it failed. But you know the music. You were always a part of it. Brian looked up, his face hollow with grief. "She's gone, Alan." "No," Alan said, grabbing Brian by his thin tunic, hauling him to his feet. "She is not. She is just asleep. And you are the only one who can wake her up. Brian, you have to sing." The flatline. It was a single, unending, electronic wail. It was the sound of the end of the world. Dr. Sharma stared at the gurney's monitor, her face pale, her scientific certainty shattered into a million pieces. No, the feedback loop, it fried her synaptic pathways. It stopped her heart. Non-viable. The asset is lost. Her tactical team, hearing this, raised their rifles, their professionalism replaced by a sudden, raw panic. Their mission had just failed in the most catastrophic way possible. They were now trapped in a dying, exposed valley with a group of hostile, aged locals. We're she's. Brian, on his knees, was rocking back and forth, a man hollowed out by grief. Mason let out a sound of pure, untamed anguish. He no longer cared about the soldiers, the guns, or the shimmer. He saw Hazel, dead on that metal slab, a victim of this cold, invasive science. He saw Alan, his oldest friend, trembling and aged beside him. He took one, final, shuddering breath, and decided to take everyone with him. He lunged, not at Sharma, but at the nearest armed soldier. "Mason, no!" Alan's voice was a desperate crack, but it was Brian's action that stopped him. Alan's words had, somehow, pierced the fog of Brian's grief. He had looked up, not at Hazel, but at the ground, at the cold, damp soil he had once tilled with his wife. "Get up. You have to sing." Alan's words echoed in his head. Brian, the poet, the musician, the gentle husband, did something no one expected. He stumbled to his feet and threw himself, not at the soldiers, but in front of Mason, his arms spread wide. "Stop," he croaked. "Please stop." Mason, his lunge halted, stared at the frail, white-haired man, his rage momentarily confused. It's all my fault," Brian wept, his voice cracking. I stopped singing. When they took her, I stopped. The music, it died. It wasn't just her, Alan, it was us. It was always us." "Brian," Alan whispered, his eyes wide with a fragile, impossible hope. "This is insane." Dr. Sharma snapped, finally finding her voice. She was pulling a portable defibrillator from her kit. "Her heart has stopped. We have seconds. Get him out of the way." "No," Brian said. His voice was still weak, but the grief had been replaced by a new, desperate, terrifying clarity. He turned, ignoring the guns, ignoring the doctor, and walked until he was standing beside the gurney. He looked down at his wife's pale, still face through the clear canopy. He was old. His hands were gnarled with new arthritis. His lungs were weak. He was a broken, dying man. He reached out and laid his trembling, liver-spotted hand on the cold, powered-down canopy. "I am here, my love," he whispered, his voice catching. I am so sorry. I stopped singing, but I am here now." He closed his eyes. He took a single, shuddering breath, and he sang. It was not a song of power. It was not a boom of magic. It was a cracked, reedy, thin note, barely more than a breath. It was a single, painful sound in the dead, cold air. Dr. Sharma actually scoffed. "Move," she commanded, raising the paddles. "Wait." Alan's voice was iron. He had seen it, or he had felt it. "Sing it, Brian," Alan urged, his voice soft. "Sing the song you wrote for her, the one from the first spring." Brian's eyes squeezed shut, tears streaming down his face. He sang the next note, and the next. The song was frail, achingly sad, a broken melody of a life that was. This is. Dr. Sharma began, but then she stopped. The flatline tone blipped. Her head snapped to the monitor. It was just a single, tiny artifact. A muscle spasm. It's nothing, she whispered, her own certainty wavering. Brian's voice grew a fraction stronger. He sang of their meeting. He sang of the light in her hair. He sang of the building of the grove, of planting the first seed together. His old, failing voice poured out every memory, every last drop of love he possessed. The flat line blipped again, and again. A slow, thready, impossible rhythm appeared on the screen. That's not possible, one of the soldiers whispered, lowering his rifle slightly. But it was happening. As Brian sang, a single, tiny point of light, a warm golden light, flickered at the base of the nearest tree trunk. It was not the cold blue of Sharma's technology. It was the light of the grove. Keep singing. Mason growled, his voice now a low rumble of awe. Brian's song was now the only thing in the universe. It was a harmony without its melody, a desperate plea for a response. The golden light at the base of the tree flickered again. Then it held. It began to crawl, like liquid gold, up the dead bark. Then a new sound, a low, subsonic hum, coming from the earth itself. The grove was listening. On the gurney, Hazel's fingers, which had been white and still, twitched. "My God," Alan whispered, clutching his chest. The heart monitor, which had shown a flat line, now registered a slow, steady, unmistakable beat. Thump, thump, thump. The canopy of the gurney, which was cold and dead, suddenly, impossibly, fogged with the mist of a single, human breath. Hazel was not awake. The grove was not healed. But they were no longer dead. Dr. Sharma stared at her monitor, at the steady, impossible heartbeat, and then at the old man singing his heart out. Her defibrillator paddles hung uselessly at her sides. Her science, her data, her entire understanding of the world, it was all wrong. The impossible beat. Thump, thump, thump. It was the only sound in the grove besides Brian's frail, tear-soaked song. The flat line was gone, replaced by a slow, steady, living rhythm. Dr. Sharma stared at her monitor, her mind, so sharp and analytical, completely unable to process the data. She was a mathematician presented with an equation where 2 + 2 equaled a miracle. Heart rate stabilizing, 38 beats per minute, she murmured, a mechanical observation from a mind in shock. Respiration, 4 breaths per minute. It's a deep, comatose state, but it's stable. It's impossible. Brian never stopped singing. He had found his purpose. He was the anchor, the one thing holding his wife to the world of the living. Mason, who had been a hair's breadth from a suicidal rampage, slowly unclenched his fists. His rage, a fire that had burned for days, was doused by a wave of pure, unadulterated awe. He looked at Brian, the frail poet, and saw a strength he had never known. He stepped back, placing himself between Brian and Dr. Sharma's team. His new mission was clear: protect the song. Alan was the first to regain his strategic mind. He saw the new board, he saw the new pieces, and he saw the path. "Doctor," Alan said, his voice quiet but echoing with a new, ancient authority. "Your machine is a cage. It is an insulator. She is breathing despite it, not because of it. You must open it." Dr. Sharma's head snapped up, her professionalism returning as a reflex. "Absolutely not. The canopy is pressurized. Her system is critically weak. To expose her to the open." She gestured to the cold, damp grove, to the pollen, the contaminants. It would be a fatal shock. "It is a fatal shock to leave her in there," Alan countered, stepping forward, his old, trembling hand pointing at the gurney. "That machine is what killed her. Your sterile environment is a tomb. This," he stamped his foot on the earth. "The soil, the leaves, the trees, this is her life support. You saw it. Her heart did not start when you brought out your paddles. It started when the grove heard him." Alan looked at her, his eyes no longer weak and aged, but burning with the cold fire of centuries. "Your science is finished here, Doctor. Now, you will bear witness to ours. Open the canopy. My men will not allow." "Your men," Mason Grossled, stepping forward, "are holding guns that are completely, utterly useless. Your asset is dead without him." He jabbed a thumb at Brian. Your entire mission, your boss, Chase, his cure, all of it is currently being held together by that old man's song. So I will ask you one time. You will open the gurney." Dr. Sharma looked at her soldiers. They were looking at each other, their tactical certainty gone. They were in a place their training had never prepared them for. They were bodyguards for a corpse that was now, somehow, breathing to the sound of music. Sharma's face was a mask of conflict. Her entire life, her entire belief system, was based on data, on observable, repeatable facts. This was none of those. To open the canopy was to abandon every protocol. To not open it was to watch her mission fail. She chose the mission. "I am protesting this for the record," she said, her voice tight. "If she dies, it is on you." "It has always been on us," Alan said. With a hiss of compressed air, Dr. Sharma unlatched the pressurized seals. The clear canopy fogged up completely, then slowly rose, lifting on hydraulic hinges. The air of the grove, cold and smelling of decay, washed over Hazel's pale face. Brian's song hitched, a sob catching in his throat, but he did not stop. He sang louder. "Mason," Alan commanded, gently. Dr. Sharma's team tensed, but Mason ignored them. He was not a warrior now. He was a gentle giant. He slid his massive, calloused hands under Hazel's thin, frail body. She weighed almost nothing. The high-tech gurney, with its dead wires and useless tubes, was left behind. "Where?" Mason asked, his voice thick. "There," Alan said, pointing to the very center of the grove, to the moss-covered patch of earth at the base of the largest, most ancient tree, the one that had been the first to flicker with light. Mason knelt, as if in prayer, and laid Hazel down. He did not put her on the moss, he put her in it. He placed her head on the soft, damp earth, her hair fanning out over the gnarled roots. The instant her skin touched the soil, the world changed. A wave of golden light, not a flicker, but a powerful, silent wave, exploded from the point of contact. It rushed up the trunk of the great tree, not as a cold blue spark, but as a warm, vibrant, living force. It hit the canopy and spread, jumping from branch to branch, tree to tree, a web of pure, golden energy. The dying, gray bark began to glow. The brittle leaves trembled. A low, powerful hum, the sound of a sleeping giant stirring, filled the air, so low it was felt in the chest more than heard. Brian, his song now soaring, dropped to his knees beside his wife. He took her hand, and on the damp earth, Hazel breathed. It was not the shallow gasp of a comatose patient. It was a deep, shuddering intake of life. Miles away, in the council chamber, Ben, the technician who was watching the shimmer monitor, screamed. But it was not a scream of terror. "Alan! Alan, are you reading me?" He yelled into his comms. Alan, his hand shaking, raised his own communicator.
"Ben."
"Report." "The shimmer." Ben's voice was crying. "The signal, it's not just stable. It's surging. Alan, it's healing. The tear, it's closing." In the grove, Dr. Sharma stared at her own, useless tablet, which was now showing a massive, unexplainable energy surge from the ambient environment. She looked at her soldiers, their guns pointed at nothing, and then at the old man singing to his wife, who was now bathed in a golden light that was literally, scientifically, saving the world. The power dynamic had not just shifted. It had been completely and irreversibly inverted. They were no longer invaders. They were prisoners, trapped in a miracle. The hum was no longer a sound. It was a physical force, a vibration that started in the earth and rose up through the soles of their feet, thrumming in their very bones. The golden light, which had exploded from the base of the great tree, was now a flowing river of energy, pulsing in time with Brian's song. Brian, kneeling in the moss, was no longer frail. He seemed to draw strength from the light, his voice, which had been a reedy crackle, swelling into a clear, powerful baritone. He was not just singing to Hazel, he was singing with the grove. He was the conductor of a symphony that was healing itself. Under his song, the grove responded. The dull, gray bark of the trees flushed with a vibrant, pearlescent glow. The dead, brittle leaves trembled, then fell in a great, sudden shower, carpeting the ground. And on the branches, under the pulsing light, new buds, tight, green, and shimmering with impossible health, began to swell. The black, rotten mush of the old apples dissolved, turning to nutrient-rich dust. The air, once cold and smelling of decay, was now warm, fragrant, and thrumming with the scent of new blossoms. Hazel was the epicenter. The light pulsed from the ground into her, and then out through the trees, creating a visible, glowing circuit of life. Color had flooded her cheeks. Her skin, once a waxy, pale gray, now had a warm, human glow. She remained in her deep coma, but it was no longer the frail sleep of the dying. It was the deep, restorative trance of a body rebuilding itself at an impossible speed. Dr. Sharma stood frozen, her high-tech tablet held uselessly in her hand. It was flashing a single error message: unreadable energy surge, quantum overload, sensors offline. Her world, built on the solid, concrete pillars of reason, logic, and repeatable data, had just been leveled. This wasn't science. This was an event, a miracle, and it terrified her far more than any weapon. She saw her soldiers, their high-tech rifles pointed at a problem they could not shoot, and realized with a sickening, cold clarity: they were irrelevant. She was irrelevant. Doctor. Alan's voice cut through her shock. She turned. Alan looked different. The tremor in his hand had eased. The weary, defeated slump in his shoulders was gone. He was still old, yes, but he now looked timeless. He was the leader again. Your asset seems to be in recovery, Alan said, his voice calm, but with a new edge of cold iron. It seems our local custom is more effective than your technology. I don't. Sharma stammered, her mind racing. What is this? How is he doing this? The biometrics, it's not possible. It is not for you to understand, Alan said, stepping closer. It is only for you to witness. He turned his gaze to Mason, who was watching the soldiers with the predatory stillness of a wolf. Alan didn't need to speak. He simply nodded. Mason moved. He didn't charge. He simply walked, a mountain of quiet, absolute authority. He walked directly to the tactical leader, the one who had stopped Brian from touching the gurney. The soldier tensed, his rifle coming up slightly. Mason didn't stop. He didn't raise his hands. He simply got closer, his shadow falling over the soldier, until the man was forced to look up. My home, Mason growled, his voice a low vibration that matched the grove's hum. My family. You are guests. Unwanted. He pointed a massive finger, not at the soldier, but to the edge of the grove, 20 yards back. You will stand there. You will be silent. And you will not interfere. Or I will plant you, here, with the trees. The soldier looked to Dr. Sharma. Sharma, pale and trembling, her authority in ashes, gave a tiny, jerky nod. Do as he says. Stand down. Perimeter. Observe only. Like disciplined robots, the 4 soldiers mechanically lowered their weapons and retreated, moving to the edge of the grove, their faces hidden behind their visors, but their confusion radiating like heat. They were now guards, protecting not their asset, but the miracle that had stolen it from them. Alan turned back to Dr. Sharma. You are a woman of science, Doctor. You report to a man of science. I imagine he is waiting for an update. Sharma's hand instinctively went to the comms device on her tactical vest. You will contact Mr. Chase, Alan continued, his voice soft, but each word a hammer blow. You will tell him his asset is no longer in his control. You will tell him that his methods, his extractions, his torture, nearly destroyed her, and in doing so, nearly exposed this valley to the world. He stepped closer, his aged eyes locking with hers. And then you will tell him the most important thing. You will tell him that the bargain has changed. He is no longer the buyer. He is a beggar. His life and his cure now depend entirely on our goodwill, on Brian's song and Hazel's recovery. All negotiations, all future requests will go through me. Tell him. I am waiting for his call. Dr. Sharma looked at the glowing woman. She looked at the singing man. She looked at the ancient leader who had just taken back the world. Her hand, shaking, raised the comms device to her lips. She pressed the encrypted channel. Mr. Chase. She began, her voice a reedy whisper. Mr. Chase, we have a significant development. Dr. Sharma's voice was a thin, reedy tremble, broadcast over an encrypted channel to a dying man miles away. Mr. Chase, the asset is alive, but not by my intervention. As the environment, the man, Brian, report. Chase's voice, a synthetic, digitized rasp, crackled back over her comms, loud enough for Alan and Mason to hear. It was a sound of pure, desperate, bottled rage. What is happening? Sir, the local ritual. It restarted her heart, Sharma stammered, her scientific vocabulary utterly failing her. The grove's energy field is regenerating. The leader here, Alan, he says the bargain is changed. He says he is now in control. He is awaiting your call. A long, static-filled silence hissed over the comms. When Chase spoke again, his voice was no longer a shout. It was a low, terrifying growl, like a cornered, dying animal. Put him on. Dr. Sharma, her hand shaking, held out the tactical comms device to Alan. Alan took it. He did not speak immediately. He looked around. He saw Brian, his eyes closed, his hand holding Hazel's, his song now a strong, steady, life-giving pulse. He saw the golden light, now so bright it almost hurt to look at, bathing the grove in a healing dawn. He saw Mason, standing guard, a mountain of reclaimed power. He even saw his own hand. The tremor was gone. The aching weakness in his joints had receded, replaced by a dull, warm hum. The grove was not just healing Hazel. It was healing all of them. Finally, Alan spoke into the device, his voice as calm and ancient as the trees around him. This is Alan, Mr. Chase. You old fool. Chase wheezed, the fury evident. You think a song means you have power? I have armies. I have technology. I will burn your valley to the ground. You will do nothing, Alan said, his voice flat, cutting through Chase's threats. You are dying. Your armies are 4 soldiers who are currently standing in a field of magic they do not understand, pointing guns at a man who just brought the dead back to life. Your technology is what killed her, and your cure, your precious stolen samples are useless. They are just dead cells. The life, Mr. Chase, is here, and it is not for taking. Another choked, agonizing silence. Chase was a strategist just like Alan. He knew when he was beaten. He was a king who had just lost his entire kingdom, his entire army, and his entire treasury, all in one move. What? The word was a gasp, a surrender. What do you want? Want, Alan said, a note of cold irony in his voice. I want my home restored. I want the woman you tortured and killed to be made whole. I want the shadow of your greed to be lifted from this valley forever. But since we must be pragmatists, here is what will happen. Alan began to pace slowly, his every word a nail in Chase's coffin. First, your soldiers, he nodded at the 4 tactical operators, will place their weapons on the ground.
Now.
They will be escorted by my shield, Mason, to guest quarters. They are no longer a security detail. They are hostages. No, Chase breathed. Second, Dr. Sharma, Alan said, looking directly at the pale, shocked scientist. She will remain here, in this grove. She will be our guest. She will not touch Hazel. She will not run a single test. She will observe. She will be my witness. She will be your proof that we are not harming your only hope. He paused, letting the words sink in. Third, all your equipment, the aircraft, the medical supplies you brought, the weapons, it all belongs to the sanctuary now. We will consider it a down payment for the damage you have caused. This is extortion. This is survival. Alan snapped, his calm finally breaking for a split second, revealing the iron beneath. You brought war to our home. You are lucky we are not simply unplugging your world. He gestured to Brian. This is a fragile thing, Mr. Chase. This song, this connection, it requires peace. It requires trust. And you have shattered it. We are now very, very busy cleaning up your mess. A terrible, rattling sound came over the comms. It was the sound of Chase, trying to cough, trying to breathe, his failing body at war with his furious mind. And me? Chase finally whispered. The one, selfish, all-important question. My cure? Alan looked at Hazel, her chest rising and falling in a deep, peaceful rhythm. He looked at Brian, who was lost in his song, his face a mask of pure, selfless love. If, and only if, Hazel makes a full and complete recovery, Alan said, his voice dropping to a low, final, unnegotiable tone. And if she, of her own free will, chooses to forgive you, then we will discuss your future. Until then, you will wait, you will be silent, and you will hope. There was no reply, only the sound of a harsh, shallow breath. Dr. Sharma, Alan said, holding out the comms device. Your employer is waiting for your final report. Tell him what you have seen. Tell him what you are seeing. And tell him his new partners are in charge. Dr. Sharma, her face ashen, took the comms. She looked at the glowing grove. She looked at the armed, furious giant of a man, Mason, who was now walking towards her soldiers. She looked at the impossible, breathing woman on the ground. She pressed the button. Mr. Chase, she said, her voice hollow, the last shred of her old self gone. All of what he says, it is true. I see it. The mission is over. We are guests. I await his instructions. The line went dead, not with a click, but with a final, defeated sigh of static. Alan looked at Mason. Mason looked at Alan. A long, slow understanding passed between them. Mason turned to the four soldiers. The old man, Mason said, a terrifying, wolfish grin spreading across his face, said, "You should drop your toys." The silence that followed Dr. Sharma's surrender was heavier than any sound. The grove continued its work, the golden light pulsing, Brian's song a steady, unwavering heartbeat. But the human element was frozen, a tableau of defeated invaders and victorious, aged defenders. Mason's terrifying grin remained. He took a slow, deliberate step toward the four tactical soldiers. They were professionals, trained for high-intensity warfare, for hostage rescue, for chemical threats, for urban combat. They were not trained for this. They were not trained for a world where songs healed the dead and magic was a measurable force. They were four men holding useless, heavy pieces of metal. The leader, his face hidden, looked at Mason. He looked at Dr. Sharma, who sat, defeated, on a cold rock. He looked at the glowing woman on the ground, and the singing man who was her anchor. He's right, the soldier said, his voice, filtered through his comms, surprisingly human and very tired. We're just in the way. With a slow, mechanical, and deeply weary movement, he unclipped the sling from his assault rifle, held it for 1 second, and then placed it on the soft, mossy earth. The thud was a final, definitive sound of surrender. One by one, the other three soldiers did the same. Four high-tech weapons, symbols of an outside world's power, lay useless on the ancient ground. Sidearms, Mason growled. Knives. All of it. They complied. They disarmed themselves completely, a small pile of black metal and kydex forming at their feet. Good, Mason said. He jerked his head toward the exit of the grove.
Now walk.
Slowly. He herded them, not like a soldier, but like a farmer herding sheep. They walked, their tactical boots silent on the path, Mason following them, a silent, menacing shadow. Alan watched them go, his face impassive. The first act of reclamation was complete. The teeth had been pulled from the wolves. Alan turned his attention to the two remaining guests. Brian was lost to the world, his focus solely on Hazel and his song. He was in a duet with the earth. The only other person was Dr. Sharma. She was no longer a conqueror. She was a woman sitting in a garden in the middle of a miracle, held prisoner by two old men and a song. She was shivering, though the air in the grove was now palpably warm. "You are cold, Doctor," Alan said. It was not a question of care. It was an observation. This is... She stammered, her mind trying to find a file, a precedent, a logical framework for what she was seeing. It defies physics. Biology. The cellular regeneration, it must be the acoustic resonance. It's impossibly fast. Faster than any tumor. It's perfect. It's controlled. It is love, Doctor, Alan said, his voice simple. You tried to quantify it. You tried to extract it. You can't. You can only give it. That is the secret you told Mr. Chase you could find. That is the one thing he does not possess. And so he will die. Dr. Sharma looked up at him, her eyes wide, all her scientific arrogance gone, replaced by a raw, human fear. And me? Am I a prisoner? You are, Alan said simply. But not in the way you think. You are not a prisoner of us. You are a prisoner of this grove. You are a prisoner of the truth. You, who only believe in what you can measure, are now chained to a miracle you cannot explain. You will sit here. You will watch. You will learn. That is your work now. He turned away from her, his duty as a jailer complete. He activated his comms. Ben, report. Ben's voice came back instantly, not as a panicked technician, but as a joyous believer. Alan, Oh, Alan, you can feel it, can't you? The air, it's clean again. The shimmer is at 85%. It's still climbing. The tear is sealed. We are hidden again. We are safe. And the others? Alan asked, his voice thick with a sudden, uncharacteristic emotion. The sickness? It's receding, Ben said, his voice choked. Eleanor, her hands, she said she could feel her fingers again. The coughing had stopped. Alan, it's not just the grove. It's all of us. She's healing all of us. Alan closed his eyes, a single, hot tear tracing a path through the new lines of age on his face. He let himself feel it, the strength returning to his legs, the clarity to his mind, the steady beat of his own, restored heart. Good, Alan said, his voice firm again. Tell them. Tell all of them. Hazel is home. The grove is alive. And the sanctuary indoors. He cut the comms. His work was not done. There was one last, bitter piece of business. He saw Mason returning, his massive hands now empty, his face set in grim satisfaction. They're secure, Mason growled. In the North Tower. Under our guard. The aircraft is ours.
What now?
Alan looked at Dr. Sharma, the prisoner. He looked at Brian, the savior. He looked at Hazel, the source. And then, he looked in the direction of the council chamber, where the cancer that had started all of this was festering. Now, Alan said, his voice turning to ice. You will go to the council chamber. You will retrieve him. He is done hiding. He is done being a prisoner of his own shame. Lucas, Mason spat, the name like a curse. Yes, Alan said. Bring the traitor. Bring him here, to the grove. Let him stand in the very heart of the miracle he tried to sell. Let him see exactly what he has done. Lucas sat in the oppressive dark of the council chamber. He was alone, utterly. After Alan and Mason had left to confront the invaders, he had been left here, forgotten, a piece of human garbage to be dealt with later. He had heard the distant, muffled sounds of the confrontation, the alarms, the shouting. And then, for the last hour, nothing. A strange, new quiet. He was cold. The sickness of age, which had been held at bay by his stolen, rationed apples, was now returning with a vengeance. His hands were beginning to shake, mirroring the tremor he had so despised in Alan. He felt a deep, aching weakness in his chest. The sanctuary was dying. He was sure of it, and he had been the one to strike the killing blow. He was a fool. He had gambled everything, and lost, and now he would simply rot in this dark, empty room. Then the great doors didn't just open. They exploded inward, slamming against the stone walls with a crack that shook the dust from the rafters. Light flooded the room, and in the center of the doorway stood Mason. Lucas recoiled, scrambling backward. This was not the Mason he had known for the past week. This was not the aging, pained, frustrated brute. This was the Mason of old, the Mason of the legends. He stood a full head taller, his shoulders impossibly broad, his presence a physical weight in the room. He wasn't even breathing hard. He just was. A mountain of pure, restored power. Get up, Mason growled. The sound was not a request. It was a physical force. Mason, wait. Lucas stammered, holding up his shaking hands. It all went wrong. I didn't know. Up, Mason repeated. He strode into the room, grabbed the front of Lucas's tunic, and hauled him to his feet as if he were a child. The sheer, effortless strength was terrifying. Lucas's feet dangled for a moment before Mason slammed him back onto the floor. Debba, where are you taking me? Lucas whispered, his mind screaming. This was it. The execution. Mason was going to take him to some dark corner of the sanctuary and break him apart. Alan wants to see you, Mason snarled. He wants you to see. Mason grabbed Lucas by the upper arm, his fingers digging in like steel talons, and dragged him from the room. It was not a walk, it was a forced march. Lucas stumbled, his weak legs barely keeping up. The sanctuary he was dragged through was not the one he had left. It was not the dark, dying, whispering place of sickness. It was alive. Founders, who hours ago had been huddled in blankets, were now in the courtyards, their faces turned toward the center of the valley. They were standing. They were talking. An old woman he'd seen carried in a chair was now walking, leaning on a friend, but walking. The air, which had been cold and thin, was now warm, vibrant, and thrumming with an energy that made his skin crawl. How? Lucas breathed, staring. Mason didn't answer. He just kept dragging him, pulling him toward the source of the warmth, toward the grove. As they got closer, Lucas had to shield his eyes. A light was pouring from the grove, a bright, powerful, golden light that was not the sun. It pulsed a slow, powerful heartbeat, and beneath it a sound, a man's voice singing a clear, strong, unwavering song. Mason shoved Lucas through the threshold, throwing him onto the soft earth. Lucas looked up, and his entire, broken, selfish world shattered. It was beautiful. The grove was not just alive. It was a beacon, a cathedral of pure, living light. The trees were reborn, covered in new, shimmering leaves and blossoms. He saw Dr. Sharma, the avatar of Chase's power, sitting on a rock, her face pale, her high-tech gear forgotten, looking like a stunned, lost child. He saw Alan, standing tall and straight, the tremor gone, his eyes burning with a cold, ancient power. He saw Brian, kneeling on the ground, his voice the source of the song, his hand holding his wife's. He looked strong. He was no longer the frail, forgotten husband. He was a pillar of the world. And then he saw Hazel. She was lying in the moss, bathed in the golden light, as if she were sleeping on a bed of stars. The light pulsed from her. She was the heart of the grove, the heart of the sanctuary, the heart of everything.
She was not dead. She was divine.
Lucas finally understood. He hadn't just betrayed his friends. He hadn't just tried to sell a resource. He had tried to put a price on a soul. He had tried to barter a miracle. He had attempted to sell the very concept of love. The sheer, blasphemous arrogance of his betrayal crushed him. He collapsed, not just to his knees, but flat, his face pressed into the dirt, sobbing. Not in fear, not in a plea for his life, but in the agonizing, all-consuming, soul-destroying realization of his own, pathetic, irreversible smallness. "Get up," Alan's voice commanded, as cold as stone. Lucas, shaking, pushed himself to his knees. He couldn't look at Hazel. He could only look at the ground. "Look at her, Lucas," Alan demanded. Lucas forced his eyes up. He saw the woman he had condemned to torture, the woman he had sold to a dying monster. And she was beautiful. She was the source of the life that was, even now, healing the tremor in his own hands. You brought the outside world here," Alan said, his voice not loud, but carrying over Brian's song. "You brought their guns, their science, their greed. You brought Chase to our home." He pointed to the pile of discarded weapons lying useless in the moss. And they were all beaten, not by an army, not by Mason's rage, by him. Alan nodded to Brian. They were defeated by a song, by a love you cannot comprehend. Lucas just wept, his body shaking. I'm sorry. Sorry, Alan scoffed, the word full of ice. "You are not sorry for what you did. You are sorry for what you lost. You are sorry that you failed." He was right. Alan stepped closer. "We are not murderers, Lucas. We will not kill you. That is their way. But you are not one of us. You have proven that. You do not belong to this." He gestured to the grove, the light, the founders. Alan turned to his shield. "Mason, take him to the North Tower. Put him with the other outsiders, the soldiers." Mason grabbed Lucas, hauling him up one last time. "You are no longer a founder, Lucas," Alan said, his voice a final judgment. "You are just a man, and you will await your fate, with the rest of the world that you were so desperate to join." In the sterile, high-tech penthouse miles away, Chase was dying, slowly and miserably. The brief hope of immortality had vanished, replaced by the bitter, cold reality of his failing body. He had been holding on to life with sheer force of will, sustained by his machines and the illusion of control. Now, both were failing. Dr. Sharma's final, defeated report had been the death knell. The silence on the comms line after her statement was the sound of Alan's victory. Chase sat in his mechanized chair, staring at the empty screen where Lucas's face had once flickered. His lead doctor, a frightened, less capable replacement for Sharma, fussed over the monitors. "Sir, your blood pressure is dropping dangerously low," the doctor said nervously. "We need to begin the saline drip immediately. You're entering a critical phase." "Silence," Chase rasped, swatting the doctor's hand away with surprising force. His rage was keeping him alive, a final, toxic surge of adrenaline. They think they have won. They think a farmer's song beats billions of dollars. He raised a skeletal finger and pointed at a large, world map displayed on one of his screens. It was a projection of all major satellite surveillance feeds. The sanctuary, which had been marked with a fluctuating, flickering red zone, was now gone. The screen was a uniform, empty green. The shimmer was fully restored. They were hidden again. They were untouchable. Chase had been beaten on their ground. But he was a master of the long game, a predator whose strategies spanned decades. He had lost the first battle, but he was not ready to lose the war. "I need eyes," Chase wheezed, his breath rattling. "I need to know what they're doing to the asset. Get me a clean channel. I want to talk to my captive." The new doctor, trembling, managed to re-establish the connection to Dr. Sharma's personal comms device, which Alan had permitted her to keep for reporting back to her employer. The screen flickered to life. Dr. Sharma was still in the grove, sitting on the rock, but the view behind her was stunning. The grove was ablaze with golden light. The very air looked thick and vibrant. Hazel was lying on the ground, glowing, and Brian was still singing. Dr. Sharma looked exhausted, defeated, but strangely peaceful. "Sharma," Chase hissed. "Report. What is the status of the woman? Is she conscious? Can you get a sample? I need to know if the cellular structure is still viable." "Mr. Chase," Sharma replied, her voice low and steady, lacking the fear she had felt hours ago. "The cellular structure is beyond viable. It is restoring itself. The process is flawless. She is in a deep, healing sleep. I am not allowed near her. I am only permitted to observe." "And the old man? Alan? He has taken control," Sharma stated plainly. "He has disarmed our team and secured them. They are currently being housed. He is waiting for her full recovery before he dictates the next move." "Dictates?" Chase scoffed, a dry sound. "He is bluffing. He needs me. He needs my resources. He needs my access to the outside world. He cannot exist in total isolation." "You are mistaken, sir," Sharma countered, and her tone held a weight that surprised Chase. "They are entirely self-sufficient. They do not need your resources. They do not need the outside world. They are healing themselves. You need them. They possess the only cure for you. And for the first time in your life, you have absolutely nothing to bargain with." Chase slammed his fist onto the armrest of his chair. He needs to be reminded of his place. He needs to understand the gravity of defiance. "If I cannot have it, no one can. I will not allow this level of power to exist outside my control." "What are you going to do, sir?" Sharma asked, her gaze steady. Chase looked back at the map, at the empty green space where the sanctuary lay hidden. His feverish, dying mind began to churn through the remnants of his immense power. He had lost the physical battle, but he still controlled information. He still controlled resources the Founders hadn't even imagined. "They think they are safe because they are hidden," Chase wheezed. "They think their little shimmer will protect them." He looked at his doctor. "Get my security chief. Get him on the line. I want Project Chimera initiated. They're going to remind the Founders exactly what the modern world is capable of." The doctor looked terrified. "Sir, Project Chimera? It's still experimental. It's designed to breach any known cloaking system using focused sonic resonance. It could expose the entire area, not just to surveillance, but to an actual physical event." "Exactly." Chase smiled, a cold, terrifying movement of his papery lips. "A physical event. A demonstration. I want them to feel the ground shake. I want Alan to know that if I snap my fingers, the sanctuary is gone. I will trade their home for my cure. Now, initiate the process. I want a sonic pulse ready for launch in 24 hours." He cut the line. He was left alone in the cold, antiseptic light of his penthouse. He was dying, yes, but he would not die quietly. If he couldn't have the apples of Idunn, he would make sure the gods who guarded them paid an eternal price. The game was not over. It was about to go nuclear. In the grove, the golden light of the restored magic had begun to settle into a warm, steady glow, like the slow, deep breath of a recovering giant. Brian's song, though still constant, had softened, becoming a lullaby that wove itself into the very fabric of the valley. Hazel remained in her deep, restorative trance, but the physical signs of her recovery were undeniable. The pallor was gone, replaced by the soft, healthy flush of deep sleep. Alan stood at the edge of the grove, watching the miracle he had fought to save. His strength was fully restored, the weariness of the past weeks completely gone. Beside him stood Mason, towering and vital, his senses sharp, his restored body humming with power. The immediate crisis was over. The sanctuary was shielded, the source was healing, and the enemy within was contained. But Alan knew Chase. A man like that did not retreat. He planned a scorched earth policy. Alan activated his comms.
Ben.
Status report on the outside world. Are there any irregular energy readings, unusual satellite activity, anything that suggests Chase is escalating? Ben's voice, usually full of nervous energy, was calm, professional, and confident. The shimmer is at 100%, Alan. The masking effect is total. Absolutely nothing unusual on the conventional spectrum. We're clean. They can't see us. And the man, Lucas? Contained in the North Tower with the 4 soldiers, Mason interjected. He's not eating. He's just staring at the wall. He's broken, Alan. He's not a threat anymore. Alan sighed, a deep, tired sound that acknowledged the sadness of Lucas's fate. A broken tool is still a tool, Mason. Keep him secure. He walked over to Dr. Sharma, who was still seated on the rock. She hadn't moved for hours, her expression a mixture of scientific bewilderment and spiritual awe. Dr. Sharma, Alan said, it has been 6 hours since your last contact with Mr. Chase. What is his next move?
Be honest.
If he cannot have the cure, what will he do to our home? Sharma looked up, her eyes clear. The scientific shock had faded, replaced by a terrible understanding of her employer's nature. He will destroy it, she said flatly. You are an existential threat to his worldview. He will not allow a source of power he cannot control to exist. He sees you as a failed experiment that needs to be scrubbed.
How?
Mason asked, crossing his arms. He can't find us. He doesn't need to find you with conventional means, Sharma explained, her voice regaining its cold, analytical tone. Mr. Chase is a pioneer in illegal, off-the-books sonic technology. He initiated Project Chimera just before I broke contact. It's a system designed to use focused, low-frequency sound waves to bypass and disrupt advanced cloaking systems, like magnetic deflection fields. A sonic weapon? Mason scoffed. We're not fighting sound, Doctor. We're fighting magic. You don't understand, Sharma said, shaking her head quickly. The shimmer, the magic, is powered by a resonance frequency unique to Hazel's life force and the Earth's response. It's an impossible symphony. Project Chimera is designed to generate a sonic counterfrequency, a targeted, anti-harmonic wave. If it hits the sanctuary, it won't just breach your defenses. It will disrupt the very frequency that powers your magic. It will be like a colossal tuning fork striking the delicate instrument of your valley. Alan's eyes narrowed. What will be the result? Exposure, obviously, Sharma said. But worse, that level of sonic stress, hitting the main energy source, which is the grove, it could destabilize the entire valley. Landslides, structural collapse, a complete and permanent destruction of the grove itself. It's designed to turn the sanctuary into a ruin. And when is this Project Chimera scheduled for launch? Alan asked. Chase said 24 hours, Sharma replied, looking at her wrist. That means roughly 18 hours from now. They need time to calibrate the launch trajectory from their deep-sea platform. A cold, heavy silence fell over the grove. The shield that protected them, the very life of their home, was about to be struck by a weapon the modern world had created solely out of spite and fear. Alan looked at Mason. We cannot stop the missile. We cannot find the platform. We cannot fight his technology with our own. We can fight it with our hands, Mason declared, pounding his fist into his palm. No, Alan said, shaking his head. We fight it with her, with the source. He looked at Hazel, sleeping peacefully. Mason, go to the armory. Gather our people. Prepare for the fight of our lives. Mason nodded grimly and strode out of the grove. Alan turned back to Dr. Sharma.
Doctor.
You are now our prisoner, but you are also the only person who understands the science of this weapon. You know the frequency. You know the calibration. You know the defense protocols of Project Chimera. I know them, she admitted. But what good is that? I can't build a counterweapon here. I have no tools. Alan gave her a faint, ancient smile, a look of profound pity for her limited, modern perspective. You think tools are only made of steel, Doctor? You think power is only built with circuitry? We are the oldest things on this earth. We built this sanctuary with the Earth's natural resonance. You will tell me, in precise scientific detail, the exact counterfrequency of this chimera. We will not build a shield. We will build an anti-song. Alan looked toward Brian, still singing softly over his wife. And we will teach the anti-song to the Grove. The Grove was no longer a place of quiet healing. It was a makeshift command center. Brian's gentle song continued to anchor Hazel to the earth, but around them, a desperate, final plan was unfolding. Dr. Sharma, the captive scientist, was standing before Alan, a high-tech whiteboard, salvaged from her abandoned gurney, propped against a glowing tree trunk. She wasn't holding a stylus. She was holding a piece of charcoal and sketching frantically. The target frequency, Alan, Sharma explained, her voice sharp with professional urgency. Project Chimera is designed to hit the sanctuary's core resonance at 33.4 hertz. That's the subsonic frequency associated with deep Earth movements, the one your shimmer is tuned to. To neutralize it, we need an anti-harmonic wave, a perfect counterfrequency at 180 degrees out of phase. Alan listened intently, his expression grave. He absorbed the complex scientific language, Hertz subsonic anti-harmonic, and translated it instantly into the ancient language of the sanctuary. Music. And that counterfrequency, Doctor? Alan pressed. What form does it take? What note is it? Sharma stared at the glowing tree, then at the charcoal sketch of the sonic wave. She performed a rapid calculation in her head. If 33.4 hertz is the destructive root frequency, the counterfrequency needs to resonate at the same wavelength, but be physically generated at a much higher, audible pitch, one that the human voice and the wood of your grove can actually produce. She quickly scribbled a musical staff onto the board. The key must be centered around C-sharp, specifically the 5th octave C-sharp. That frequency, 554 hertz, when generated through the deep resonance of this grove's natural materials, should produce a low-frequency shockwave that can meet the chimera pulse and cancel it out. Alan nodded slowly. C-sharp, the 5th octave, a song of opposition. Meanwhile, Mason was gathering the remaining founders in the Great Hall. It was a hall transformed. The atmosphere was no longer one of fear and sickness, but of restored strength and fierce resolve. The golden light that bathed the valley had filled them all with renewed vigor. Chase is not sending soldiers, Mason told them, his voice booming and firm. He's sending a ghost, a sonic weapon designed to shake our home off the map. It will hit in 17 hours. The founders, once timid, listened in silence. Their age had been replaced by a quiet fury. We cannot fight this with weapons. We fight it with life, Mason continued. Alan, with the help of the scientist, has found the required frequency. We need to create a wall of sound around this valley. Not just a wall, a shield. Every person in this sanctuary, every voice, every instrument, every ounce of renewed life must contribute to this anti-song. He held up an ancient, wood-carved lyre, one of the few instruments the founders still possessed. We have never been a fighting people. We are a people of life, of music, of growth. That is our weapon. We will gather in the central circle. We will harmonize with the grove. And we will sing the enemy's destruction away. Back in the grove, the final piece of the plan was being set. Brian, whose song was the source of all the healing, looked up from Hazel. He looked tired, but his eyes held an unwavering focus. Alan knelt beside him. Brian, my friend, your love saved her. Now, your song must save us all. Alan gently pointed toward the charcoal C-sharp on the whiteboard. This is the note. This is the anti-song. It must be sung not just with love, but with perfect precision. Your voice, your connection to the grove, is the conductor. You must lead the harmony. Brian glanced at the chart, then back at his wife. A song of war, Alan? A song of defense, Brian. Alan corrected softly. It is the song that defends the harmony you created. It defends the very idea of this place. Brian nodded. He understood. His gentle music had been the key to restoration, the melody that brought Hazel back. Now he had to take that key and turn it into a fortress. We need to test the resonance. Alan instructed Dr. Sharma. We need to ensure that the single tone will translate into the required subsonic cancellation wave. Dr. Sharma, seeing a true, impossible experiment finally within her grasp, looked energized. She quickly gathered smooth river stones and placed them in a tight circle around the base of the great tree, creating a temporary, natural amplifier. She connected the grove's sensor wires, the very wires that had almost killed Hazel, to a sensitive acoustic receiver salvaged from her destroyed gurney, and aimed the whole setup at the stone circle. "It's primitive," Sharma said, adjusting the focus. "But if the resonance is strong enough, the acoustic sensor should pick up the subsonic wave generated by the stone and wood amplification. The output should be a steady, clean line on the monitor. If it's erratic, we fail." Brian took a deep breath. He held the 5th octave C-sharp perfectly. He sang the note. It was a clear, ringing tone that resonated deep in the chest. Sharma watched her salvaged monitor. The line on the screen jumped, spiky and erratic.
No.
"It's too high. The stone isn't amplifying the subsonic frequency." Alan shook his head. "The wood is dead. The earth is still bruised. It needs more than just one voice, Doctor. It needs the full, living harmony of the entire sanctuary." He looked at Brian. "Not yet, my friend. Not alone. We wait for the others. We sing it together. We will use the life force that Chase tried to steal to defend ourselves from the weapon he is about to launch." The remaining hours were a blur of frenetic, desperate activity. The Founders, energized by the golden glow of the grove and the return of their vitality, moved with a speed and focus they hadn't known in years. Mason, the restored shield, oversaw the preparations. He organized the defenses, not with weapons but with people. Every Founder who could walk, talk, or sing was assigned a position in the central clearing. The strongest, the laborers, the artisans, and the former council members were placed in the front ranks, closest to the grove, where the energy resonance was strongest. Alan and Dr. Sharma worked side by side, a bizarre but highly effective partnership of the ancient and the modern. Sharma, relying on the acoustic sensors salvaged from her wrecked equipment, dictated the precise geometry of the formation. "The volume isn't enough, Alan," she explained, sketching a massive, spiraling pattern on the ground with a stick. "We need to create a cancellation lens. A wall of sound won't work. We need the waves to fold inward, amplify, and project outward. The people must stand in a tight spiral, with Brian and the grove at the center." Alan understood. A living tuning fork. They will be the strings that translate his song into the force we need. Brian, meanwhile, was the heart of the preparation. He sat by Hazel, singing his gentle, anchoring song, but now he was also teaching. He led the Founders through the correct pitch for the anti-song, the high, pure C-sharp of the 5th octave. It was a difficult note to hold, demanding perfect control and breath support. The slightest waver, the smallest discord, could ruin the entire cancellation wave. It must not be loud, Brian instructed the Founders, his voice gentle but firm. It must be true. It must be a note of absolute defense. Do not hate the noise coming for us. Only love the harmony you hold here. As the sun began its descent, bathing the sky in hues of red and purple, a heavy, anticipatory silence fell over the sanctuary. Chase's calculated launch window was only 30 minutes away. In the center of the sanctuary's main clearing, the Founders were assembled in the perfect spiral pattern laid out by Dr. Sharma. Over 200 people, now standing straight and strong, their eyes fixed on Brian and the glowing grove. The only sound was Brian's quiet lullaby. Alan stood at the head of the spiral, facing the north, the direction from which the sonic weapon would approach. Mason stood beside him, his massive hands resting on the smooth, cold bark of one of the great trees. Dr. Sharma stood next to Mason, her salvaged acoustic sensor, a small, humming device, perched on a stone. Its single, small monitor was ready to measure the outcome. 10 minutes to expected launch, Sharma whispered, her eyes fixed on the device. Her heart, for the first time in years, was pounding with fear, not for her own life, but for the life of this unbelievable place. Alan looked back at the crowd of Founders. They were old, they were poets, they were scholars, they were healers. They were not warriors, but they were ready to defend their eternal home with the only weapon they had left, their voices. Alan raised his hand. The whispering stopped. Even Brian's lullaby faded to a soft, almost imperceptible hum. "Founders," Alan said, his voice ringing with a powerful, restored authority. "Look around you. This is the sanctuary. This is the light that Chase tried to steal. This is the harmony Lucas tried to sell." He pointed to Brian, kneeling in the golden light. "The enemy is coming. It is a terrible sound, designed to destroy the very life we stand upon. We will meet their noise with our truth. We will meet their discord with our harmony. We will sing a song of defiance. A note of no. He turned to Brian. Brian, the note. Brian took a deep, steadying breath. His eyes, fixed on Hazel's sleeping face, were full of unwavering, quiet love. He nodded, and then he sang. The note was perfectly clean, perfectly pitched. The high, pure C-sharp. It was not loud, but it resonated with an unnatural power. One by one, the founders took up the pitch. The hundreds of voices, carefully tuned and precisely pitched, began to weave together. It was not a chaotic chorus. It was a single, unified, crystalline sound. The air in the clearing began to vibrate, not with the low thrum of the grove, but with a high, intense shimmer of sound. Dr. Sharma gasped, staring at her monitor. The anti-harmonic wave. It's forming. It's generating the 33.4 Hz counterfrequency. The spiral formation, it's working. It's amplifying. The note rose in pitch and intensity. The light of the grove intensified, pulsing in time with the collective voice. The sound became a tangible thing, a wall of pure, focused energy pressing outwards. 5 minutes to launch. Sharma yelled over the singing. In the North Tower, Lucas sat in the dark with the 4 soldiers, who were listening with mute incomprehension. The song was the only sound. It was beautiful, impossible, and terrifying. Lucas finally understood what Alan had said. He was not one of them. He was listening to the sound of his expulsion. He was listening to the power of the family he had tried to destroy. The golden light spilling through the window was his final judgment. Back in the penthouse, Chase was struggling for breath, his eyes glued to the clock. Launch sequence confirm, he wheezed to his staff. I want that frequency to hit them.
Now.
Launching Chimera Pulse, a technician confirmed. Target, Sanctuary. Impact in T-10 minutes. Chase gave a skeletal smile, his last act of defiance. Let the old fool sing. Let him sing his final hymn. In the sanctuary clearing, the collective song reached its zenith. The C-sharp note was a physical force, pushing out against the air. Impact in 60 seconds. Dr. Sharma screamed, her voice barely audible over the harmony. Hold the note. Hold the pitch. If you waver, it will be destroyed. Alan and Mason joined the singing, their powerful voices anchoring the core of the spiral. Mason gripped the tree trunk, pouring his renewed strength into the wood. The grove itself seemed to be singing with them, its light flaring. 10 seconds. The air felt thick, heavy with anticipation. The moment of impact. The song was their only shield.
5, 4, 3, 2,
1. A massive, subterranean thump hit the sanctuary. It wasn't an explosion. It was an enormous, silent pressure wave. The Project Chimera Pulse, a pure, destructive wave of anti-life. But it met an equal and opposite force, the anti-song. The conflict was invisible, but its effect was cataclysmic. In the center of the clearing, the air tore with a soundless concussion. The golden light of the grove met the black void of the Chimera Pulse. The light shimmered violently, momentarily destabilized, the pure note of C-sharp vibrating at impossible speeds. Then, with a deafening, echoing crack, the two forces annihilated each other. The sonic pulse was gone. The sanctuary remained. A profound, absolute silence followed the sonic collision. The air, which had been vibrating with the anti-song, now felt clean, sharp, and still. The founders in the spiral formation stood frozen, their mouths slightly open, the high C-sharp hanging in the air like a ghost. For a long moment, no one moved. Then, a ripple of sound spread through the assembly, a collective, shuddering sigh of relief. Alan, his body humming with the energy of the defense, was the first to move. He looked at Dr. Sharma, who was staring at her salvaged acoustic monitor. The screen, which had spiked violently during the impact, was now showing a perfectly smooth, flat line. The pulse, it's gone, Sharma whispered, her voice filled with disbelief. It was a perfect cancellation. The anti-harmonic wave met the Chimera Pulse and achieved total wave nullification. The energy dissipated. The sanctuary is whole. Mason, standing beside the great tree, let out a massive, joyful roar that echoed off the surrounding mountains. The founders erupted in a spontaneous cheer, tears streaming down the faces of those who had feared their eternal home was about to be destroyed. They had defended their world, not with shields or swords, but with unity and song. Brian, however, did not cheer. He did not move. He was still kneeling, his focus still entirely on Hazel. He had spent the last hour pouring every ounce of his renewed life into the anti-song, maintaining the perfect pitch that saved them all. His song had saved the sanctuary, but the effort had nearly consumed him. Alan rushed to his side. "Brian, we did it. We won." Brian slowly turned his head, a weak but genuine smile on his face. The harmony it held Alan. She felt it. He gently squeezed Hazel's hand, which was resting in his. Hazel's eyes remained closed, but her face was serene, bathed in the soft, golden light. Alan nodded, his expression softening with gratitude. "You are exhausted, my friend. You saved us all.
Now rest.
We will watch over her." But Brian shook his head slowly.
No.
"Not yet. The song, it's still needed."
She's close, Alan.
"She's coming back. I need one last verse." He turned back to Hazel, closed his eyes, and began to sing the lullaby again. The soft, simple melody of enduring love, not defiance. The pitch was weak, tired, but steady. And then, a new sound entered the grove. A quiet, soft, melodic sound, weaving itself perfectly into Brian's voice. It was Hazel. Her eyes fluttered open. They were clear, bright, and full of that impossible, ageless light. She looked up at her husband, still singing for her, his face etched with exhaustion and devotion. She smiled, a slow, radiant smile that brought the full, vibrant light back to the entire grove. She raised her hand, reached out, and touched Brian's face. "My love," she whispered, her voice like the sweetest music. "You brought me back. You saved the harmony." Brian's song hitched in his throat. He stopped singing. The anchor was no longer needed. He collapsed forward, not in death, but in the overwhelming exhaustion of a task completed, his head resting gently on Hazel's chest. Hazel, the source, the guardian, the heart of the sanctuary, was awake. She was whole. The founders cheered again, their celebration now one of complete, utter victory. Alan and Mason exchanged a long look of profound, silent relief. The source of their life was secure. Alan turned, his mind already shifting from defense to strategy. There were still loose ends. "Mason," Alan commanded, his voice firm. "The outside world must know the game is over. Go to the North Tower. Retrieve Lucas and the 4 soldiers. Bring them here.
Now."
Chase needs to see his defeat with his own eyes. Minutes later, the 6 prisoners were escorted into the grove. Lucas, pale and defeated, walked alongside the 4 expressionless soldiers. They saw the golden light, the cheering founders, and the serene, radiant woman sitting up in the moss, holding her husband. Dr. Sharma, seeing Hazel awake, rushed forward, not with a needle, but with a bowed head. "Hazel, I am sorry. I was blind." Hazel looked at her, then at the 4 soldiers, and then at Lucas. Her gaze held no anger, only a profound, heartbreaking pity. Mason held up the comms device, connecting the encrypted channel to Chase's penthouse. Alan took the device and walked to the center of the grove, the golden light of the reborn sanctuary illuminating his face. "Mr. Chase," Alan said, his voice clear and resonant. "The Project Chimera Pulse was successfully neutralized. Your weapon has failed. Your threat is nullified. Your assets are secure." He held up the comms device toward the grove, broadcasting the scene. "Look closely, Mr. Chase. The sanctuary is alive. The source is awake. Your cure is safe. Your greed is defeated." He turned the device toward the prisoners. "Your soldiers are disarmed. Your scientist is enlightened. And your spy, your own blood is broken." Alan handed the comms device to Lucas. "Tell him, Lucas. Tell him what you see. Tell him what you lost." The comms device, still hot from the broadcast, was pressed to Lucas's ear. His hand trembled not from weakness, but from the realization of his final, profound failure. He looked through the screen, back to the sterile penthouse where Chase lay dying. "Chase," Lucas whispered, his voice cracked with emotion. It's Lucas. I see the garden. It's alive. The light, the apples, they're coming back. She's awake." He paused, finding the courage for his last, brutal honesty. "You lost, not to their strength, but to your own lack of it. You tried to buy eternity, but you had nothing left to pay for it. The cure, it isn't a formula. It's the harmony. It's the song. And that, Chase, that was never for sale." He held the device toward Hazel. Her face, luminous with the golden light, turned toward the comms. She looked at the screen, at the vague shape of the dying man, and spoke, her voice the clear, sweet sound of ultimate forgiveness. "Mr. Chase," Hazel said softly, "you are in great pain. I am sorry for your suffering, but you cannot take life. You can only nurture it. If you want peace, you must find it where you are. We forgive you the harm you have done to us, but the harm you have done to yourself, only you can heal." Lucas lowered the device. He looked at Alan, awaiting the command to sever the connection. But Alan merely nodded. Lucas took a deep breath, and on the encrypted channel, he spoke his last words to the outside world. "Goodbye, Chase." He severed the connection. The comms device went dark. The shadow of the outside world was finally, completely lifted. The founders spent the next few hours in a quiet, organized cleanup. Mason led the 4 bewildered soldiers to the aircraft, instructing them to load Dr. Sharma's specialized, valuable equipment onto the VTOL. The soldiers, humbled and defeated, obeyed silently. Dr. Sharma herself oversaw the operation, offering Alan the full data logs from the Project Chimera defense, an offering of truce and respect. "The frequency data is all here, Alan," she said, handing him a secure drive. "Your anti-song is now the only defense against any future sonic attack. But you have something much more powerful. I have seen the impossible. My worldview is broken. I don't believe Chase will survive the night. What will you do with me?" Alan looked at the former scientist. "You are free to go, Doctor. We don't hold prisoners who have seen the truth. You will take the VTOL, fly to the nearest major city, and vanish. You will tell no one what you have seen. Your silence is your price of freedom." "And the soldiers?" "They will return to their lives with an impossible story they can never tell," Alan said. "They are no longer a threat. They are our reluctant new shield." Dr. Sharma nodded, understanding the subtle genius of the choice. She bowed, a gesture of respect she had never shown anyone, and walked to the aircraft. The final judgment was for Lucas. He stood alone before the 3 anchors of the sanctuary: Alan, the mind; Mason, the shield; and Hazel, the heart. "You are no longer a founder, Lucas," Alan repeated, his voice firm. "You have broken the bond of centuries. You have chosen the path of the self." "I accept my exile," Lucas said, his gaze on the ground. "I only ask for one last chance to make amends." Hazel, now fully restored, pushed herself gently off the ground, standing tall and radiant. She walked toward Lucas. Her presence was a blessing and a judgment all at once. "The healing is complete, Lucas," Hazel said softly. "The grove is whole, but you're not. You try to sell your family to buy power. Now you have neither." She looked at Alan and Mason. "But there is always a path back. He is not forgiven, but he is not abandoned." Hazel turned back to Lucas. "We will not exile you to the outside world, Lucas. We will give you a different burden. You will go to the North Tower. You will guard the empty space where the outside world stood. You will live in isolation, and your task will be to watch the shimmer. If it ever wavers, if the outside world ever presses too close, you will be the first to know. Your life will be dedicated to protecting the sanctuary from the world you nearly brought in." Lucas looked up, his face etched with astonishment. It was not a punishment. It was a life sentence of perpetual atonement. He would live forever on the outer edge, watching the shadow of the enemy. "And my longevity?" Lucas whispered. "The apples?" Alan stepped forward. "You will be given the apples. Only enough to maintain your current age. Never again to renew your power. You will remain exactly as you are now, a man who failed. A reminder, a guardian of the edge. This is your life's work, Lucas. And it is the only way you can ever come home." Lucas nodded slowly, accepting his fate. "I understand. I will watch the edge. Forever." As the sun rose over the sanctuary, its light mixed with the golden glow of the grove. The VTOL lifted silently into the sky, carrying Dr. Sharma and the soldiers away, leaving behind no trace of their invasion. The sanctuary was quiet, safe, and stronger than ever before. Alan and Mason stood in the grove, watching Brian gently place the first, perfectly golden, freshly grown apple into Hazel's hand. "The long game is won," Mason murmured, his voice heavy with finality. "The long game never ends, my friend," Alan corrected, placing his hand on Mason's strong shoulder. "It only renews. We are safe. We are restored. And we are ready for the next age." Hazel took a bite of the golden apple, The sound a soft, triumphant crunch. The golden light of the fruit pulsed, radiating health and life. She looked at her husband, her true anchor, and then to her leaders, her mind and her shield. The sanctuary endured. The secret was safe. The golden apples had returned.